Hello, welcome to the Squarebase Show with your hosts, Rob and Val. And in this video, we're going to be getting pretty beastly as we talk about the Beastmen Brayherds.
Woo! Beastmen Brayherds.
Yeah.
Shh. Wait a minute, Rob. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? It's a Beastmen Brayherds deep dive.
the last one sold it. It's yes. Beastmen Brayherds in our sights. We're obviously going to do a deep dive not long until the Arcane Journal is coming out. So this is going to be your 2025 primer on exactly what you might want from the furry chested hoofed wanderers.
Children of Chaos.
The Children of Chaos, exactly, yeah. So, Val, before we get into the army, do you have a TLDR about how you feel about Beastmen Brayherds?
Well, about 2 months ago was when we originally put this on the docket because we knew they were going to be up soon. I actually read through a lot of Beastmen Brayherds background. Pretty much, yeah. Because I'll be honest with you, they never really captured my imagination. I never really understood where they fit into things. I was like, who are these guys? What's up? And I would say, so like, I think they're cool. Like I have Beastmen Brayherds. I have an army that I picked up in between editions. But they've never really called to me. So it was fun going into them because they do have lots of cool elements. They are a very decent, well-rounded army, minus not having a dragon or whatever. But they got lots of good units. And I think definitely sort of that sort of upper mid-tier, maybe just mid-tier, but a good, fun mid-tier. Like, I think it's a great army to play. And it plays like a Warhammer fantasy army, too, which is cool. And then finally, just from a lore perspective, never really understood that they are the Children of Chaos. I don't know why. I never really put together that they're really, like, super chaotic, duper chaotic. And B, something that I was driven home when I was reading the lore is that, like, the Empire is, like, a bunch of little cities carved into the forest near rivers, and then the rest is beastmen and goblins.
Yeah.
Like that actually also helped elevate, because like I'm like, there's just a bunch of goats with like teeth running out. Like, who cares? They're just like, but no, like they're a big problem. And they actually are one of the more dominant entities of the old world. And in understanding that made me feel like these guys should really probably be a little more front and center even. With the old world. So it's cool that they're finally getting an Arcane Journal.
There's a couple of things also about Beastmen that like a lot of people do not talk about, specifically also in relation to the end times. And when we know 10 years ago, so what was it, 2015, we saw them we saw them go away. Now it wasn't quite like before the culture started, but definitely when it reached its zenith, it did mean that the Warhammer fantasy community and generally, the old world community itself was able to roughly escape there being too many furries involved in. Like we missed the internet zenith, like the peak for when like furrydom was a thing, and I think now obviously there's still going to be some, and that's something to be conscious of. And I do know that some of the artists who work in SDS previously created a lot of art for people on the internet. I won't describe what sort, but I think that's a good thing as well for us. We've missed that boat. That's good, I think.
Well, all right. Underrated upside of the end times.
People don't talk about it enough. Yeah,
not enough. Nobody's talking about this exciting fact.
Exactly. With that said, though, they've also got a super dynamic range. You've got monsters. You've got you've got heavy infantry. You've got light infantry. You've got great wizards. Obviously, you've got like literally a game-defining spell as well. So there's lots going on here with the roster. Before you even get to what might be added in the upcoming Arcane Journal, different ways to play it. So that's a really fun thing. It's kind of a slightly less obvious Orcs and Goblins list as well, right? With like the bigger like Minotaur sort of versions, being very similar to the Gor, which is weird because it's goats and cows. But everyone just thinks they're bigger goats. But I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
A Minotaur?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Like a bull man. Yeah.
It's a cow, right?
Well, yeah. It's cow.
Yeah. Yes, it's cow.
Yeah, you're right. An herbivore, but an angry one and a very beefy one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So,
actually, yeah, the Beastmen should be vegetarians, but they got all these sharp teeth and they're eating people.
Well, it's because they love chaos. They love chaos. So, right, listen, we're going to go and look at, we're going to jump in straight now and start looking at what's in the army roster. So we're going to look at the army composition. So if we go to characters, you can see you can have up to one Beast Lord, Great Bray Shaman, or Doom Bull per 1,000 points. And then multiple Wargors, Bray Shamans, Gore Bulls, and Centigor Chieftains. What are you thinking about your character allowance?
Well, the Lord level there, the 0 to 1 per 1,000 points, is competitive, right? So it's got 3 selections in there. So that immediately means that you're making some choices. And when your level 4 is locked up with your combat character, it means you're definitely going to have to choose between Beast Lords and Doom Bulls. And I'm assuming Doom Bulls make it, but I don't know. I don't know what's popular with the kids these days. We'll have to look at it.
Doom Bull's definitely popular, like as like a smashy piece inside of like a block. Obviously, the Great Bray Shaman with Vile Tide, super popular. Multiple Great Bray Shamans as well. So like, I think the Beast Lord's also got a place. And the Centigor Chieftain is kind of interesting as well. But I guess the big takeaway here, straight off the bat, is there is no big beastie upon which the lords and ladies and goats can indeed ride. So a little bit...
They're riding themselves, Rob. They're riding them, or a chariot. They're riding themselves.
Yeah, you really don't want to goat on a goat.
Too much. You can put a dinosaur on a dinosaur, but a goat on a goat? It's like a hat on a hat. Can't do it.
Yeah, unless you model it with 2 hats per the FAQ.
True. But they got rid of the Orcs and Goblins version of that, so I don't know what they want us to do anymore.
In core, you can have one Gor Herd. And obviously, this is only currently at time of recording, so 4th month into 2025. Having a big beastie, like a dragon, is what we're referencing, is normally pretty good, which immediately says you have to say to yourself, well, I can't be that sort of problem. I need to be a different type of problem, or I need to solve that problem. Classic list writing. Okay, in core, you got to have a Gor Herd. Got to. Thankfully, they're pretty okay. You got Ungor Herds, Chaos Warhounds, Razorgor Herds, and Tuskgor Chariots. And if your general's a Beast Lord or a Wargor, you can have one Bestigor herd as a core choice. I know this is one of your favorite things. And then if your general is a Doom Bull or a Gore Bull, you can have a Minotaur herd taken as a core choice.
Lovely. Probably just going with the Gor Herd, I would think, because you got to take it anyway. So like building around that Gor Herd when you have that mandatory thing it makes some sense. And Gors are good all rounders. We can get into their comparison to Bestigors, for example, later. And then one thing too, having Razorgors in core is it's good. We'll see why, but they're good. They're good.
They are definitely good. Also, I think like we can't play down the fact that you can just have a Minotaur herd as a core choice. Ultimately, multi-wound models have ended up not being too bad. On some big bases, you've got to do a lot of damage to that front rank before they're going to hit you back. And they are going to hit you back hard. You're just not going to necessarily get a lot of the other combat res from a block like that because you're unlikely to have ranks. You could well have obviously like a banner and stuff, but like it's tough to get all of the combat res available and then do the damage as well. So it's a bit of a trade-off, I think, which is kind of clever.
I'm sure it's a fun thing, and I think is it one of the rumored armies of infamy might be Minotaur related? I might be crazy about that.
I think that would make sense though.
Yeah. We'll find out in the future.
Well,
yeah, I would say like with for example, the specifically the Minotaur herd, I think like monstrous infantry just suffers from not being super quick for their points, right? Like, so they can be played around. It's tough for them to, engage if the opponent doesn't want to engage them, especially when there's speedier, more maneuverable things out there. So, and again, you already do have to take the Gor Herd. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure playing with Minotaurs is fun, but we'll have to look at what they are for their points and compare them to other choices. But I feel like they just kind of, yeah, you're right. On the surface, it feels like monstrous infantry should be good, but for whatever reason, you don't see people reaching for them a lot.
No, you don't. Okay. So in special, you got Bestigor Herd, Harpies, Minotaur Herds, Centigor Herds, Dragon Ogres, Razorgor Chariots, and a Cockatrice. Then you got Chaos Ogres from the Chaos Army list, which I don't think we should cover today because they don't really see much play even in the Chaos roster. Then if your general is a great Bray Shaman, you can have a Jabberslythe or a Cygor taken as a special choice. And if your general is a Doomball, you can have a Ghorgon. And the Ghorgon does see a lot of play. Maybe taken as a special choice. Then in rare, actually, sorry. What should we say about this?
Just holy shit! There's a lot of units in Beastmen. It's really cool. Like I kind of it's also something. Yeah, settle in. Like this is something I kind of took for granted. I didn't realize. Kind of like Orcs and Goblins, like you said, in that way that there's a number of different ways you could take a list like this. So you could have lots of Gors, Ungors, and Bestigors, and just have a bunch of goat guys running around, or you can, have a lot of cool
it's already
fantasy
pissing
monsters.
me off that you've got control of because you get to be funny, you get to drop the joke and press the button. I don't like. Okay,
you had this technology. It's probably in a box somewhere behind you.
No, you're right. You're right.
And I'll try not to. I'm just trying to find a sound effect that can replace the instant rap air horn, and why not just a bleeding goat? I think that kind of feels more zeitgeist appropriate. Going from the instant rap air horn to the bleeding goat, that feels like more of a celebratory sound these days. But regardless, I just think there's so many fun things that you just said. Like you literally said the word cockatrice, and whether or not that's an optimal choice doesn't matter. Like there's just a lot of cool units that'll look good on the shelf and maybe even have some use on the table. So that's what I take away from the special section.
Shout out to my friend Adam, who bought 27 cockatrices and has the model tattooed on his arm. And Trish, who sculpted it, has even approved the tattoo. So
he should get her to sign his arm and get that tatted on him.
That would be cool for sure. All right. So anyway, for rare, up to 25% of your army's points may be spent on Dragon Ogre, Shaggoth, Jabberslythe, Cygors, Ghorgons, and Chaos Giants. It's a giant. The Trolls and Spawn can also be taken from the Warriors of Chaos army list. And then if you want, you can have your BSB be a Wargor. Be a BSB, which you probably do need in this army. Actually, leadership's fairly low. What do we think about the rare section?
There's definitely also some really good. There's some really good standards that often show up. So like a BSB, like a Wargor BSB, definitely shows up. The Minotaur can't be the Gor Bull can't be a BSB anymore. That's interesting. I swear they used to be able to. The thing that I also want to shout out is the gigantic spawn of chaos. Mm-hmm. Not just Chaos Spawn, also available as an option in rare here, which is a very delightful choice and adds things to this army too.
I think it's like we've seen here, a good roster, right? Like you don't necessarily have you do have fast units, but obviously you're kind of missing Cav. Before anyone shouts at me, I can see Centigor Herds are there. I understand. But you don't have like ridden Cav. You got chariots, which is kind of fun. You got lots of monsters and infantry. And if you've been watching the show, we have been saying that infantry's got a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, but I think, Beastmen definitely have ways to tune up their infantry bricks to be useful, like and to be good. Like this is speaking from the experience of a guy who has lost repeatedly to a guy running a really awesome Gor Herd brick with a Doom Bull in it and the BSB, and you can layer on a lot of fun stuff. So I don't like infantry definitely works here. And interestingly, I don't know if you remember, like when the game came out and everyone was sort of hot taking, Beastmen immediately just seemed good. Like I think it was like, oh my God, Beastmen look great. Like the rules are great. There's so much good variety here, all that kind of stuff. But they do seem to be a little ceiling limited in how the meta unfolded over time. And this is the type of army that out of nowhere, I think, first of all, you're going to play competitive games. I don't think this doesn't feel like a pushover army by any chance, by any stretch. It'd be harder to win a tournament with though. But there's lots of fun stuff to do. Really gives me that Orc and Goblin vibe if you're into chaos goat people and bullmen.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good roster. It's a good roster. Like, it's kind of like reminds me of Dwarfs, where it's like doesn't have everything, but yeah, very, very fun. Right, we're going to jump down now and look at army special rules, magic items, and all the good stuff that really adds the flavor to the army that you would want to see. So let me just go and find the page for everybody, because this is one of the main ways in which this army works. Okay. First up, we've got Blood Greed. All right.
Nice.
Whilst, in fact, actually, is that even the right thing? Blood Greed. It's the one thing that annoyed me when I was reading this is actually Blood Greed is not what we're going to read first. We're going to read Primal Fury first.
Aha.
Okay.
Primal Fury.
Yeah.
Primal Fury.
Perfect. Thank you. When this unit's combat is chosen, so some units are going to have the Primal Fury USR. If this is the first time you've watching a video about the old world, units have special rules on them, and some of them are known as universal special rules, so they can write the rule and then put it in multiple places. So that's what this is. When this unit's combat is chosen during step 1.1 of any choose and fight combat subphase, it must make a leadership test. If this test is passed, the unit becomes subject to Primal Fury, and until the end of the combat phase, the unit is subject to Primal Fury, may re-roll any rolls to hit of a natural 1.
Ooh.
Okay,
that's good.
And that's not too bad. Like, even hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s is quite nice. Because we do roll quite a limited amount of dice in this game, right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, rerolls are always good. Rerolls are just always good. Because yeah, you don't tend to be dropping buckets of dice. I read, like, playing recently in a tournament, I think I rarely picked up like more than 10 dice to like just have in front of me. And I was able to play the game comfortably. So yes.
Okay,
that is very true.
So then, this is a good rule, but this is one of those ones that's quite important. I think Beastmen makes you add an extra step into your kind of like your Beastmen play. You've got to remember, I'm in combat. Do I have Primal Fury? Got to roll the leadership test, and it seems a little bit small, but actually it keeps going, because now we can
there's
talk
other
about
things that can trigger. I think there's additional layers to it as well, if I recall. So, yeah.
So if you have the Foe Render special rule, while subject to Primal Fury, so you've got to pass the test, gain Primal Fury, then hand weapon carried by a model with a special rule has an armor-piercing characteristic of -2. So I've got a unit that's got Foe Render, and I've got a unit that's got Primal Fury. I roll it, and then immediately my hand weapon jumps up to AP2, which is a pretty great AP value.
That is a very good AP. That's not even it's not like an armor bane thing. That's just a straight up APF2. That's pretty dope.
Then we got more things that kind of rattle off this. So you got Blood Rage. If when testing to see if it becomes subject to Primal Fury, this unit passes leadership test with any roll of a natural double. It will also become frenzied. So a unit with a special rule may become frenzied in this way, even if it lost frenzy earlier in the game. What's frenzy make us do or have?
It gives you an extra attack, and it makes it so that you have to charge if you can. However, because this is something that's taking place at the 1.1 step of combat, that means that you're hopefully in a combat that you meant to be in. Yeah, which is nice.
Also means I always have to pursue.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it means always have to pursue.
And I think you also have to. I don't think you can flee as a charge reaction. Things like that. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then the last one of these, I'm sorry, I'm drunk. I'll let you do the next one, because I feel like I've just got to make sure I hit all the beats on this. Is blood?
No problem.
Is Blood Greed? So whilst frenzied, so I feel like you really need to write this down, because this is. I hate that they're not in linear order, right?
Sure.
But whilst frenzied, this model has +2 to modifier to its attack characteristic rather than the usual +1. However, this model's desperate need to feed upon the flesh, it only makes a D6 when making a pursuit roll. So the TLDR is, if you get into combat with some units, you're going to be able to reroll 1 stay hit. Sometimes you're going to get an extra AP on your hand weapon. Sometimes you could also become frenzied, which is going to give you an extra attack. And sometimes you're going to get +2 to attack. So units can really spike in their output, but it is unreliable, right?
Yeah, it is definitely dependent on that LD roll. I don't know if they have access to veteran, and because of the way their BSB works, you can't necessarily re-roll it if you blow it. So that is something, right? So it's not going to be an always thing. There's a ton of warband though, So a lot of time, and also thanks to the Gaze of the Gods table, if your character's in the unit, he could be juiced with his leadership. So like, there's a good chance you have a very high leadership value anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily need that reroll, but yeah, things like that doubles, like getting that double roll, it can be a massive cascading effect, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and really juices them up nice.
Which is great for you, but also sad for you, right?
Yes. One thing though on Blood Greed, it might seem like what's the big deal there with the D6 making a pursuit roll rather than the usual 2D6?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of is a big deal because that would affect Vibago as well. So if they normally you would, just no brainer be able to catch someone who has fallen back in good order from a combat, not necessarily, because it's essentially they're moving 2D6 pick the highest, and you're just rolling a D6 and hoping that you catch them and be able to continue the combat. So it can leave you sort of hung out to dry a little bit, the Blood Greed. And I guess the hope is that with that bucket of extra attacks that you have, that you're, really putting the hurt on that unit anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to take us through one of the other rules now? Because they're all kind of connected, aren't they?
What's even left for me, Rob?
Well, I'm so sorry. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Impact hit. So Bulgors is impact hits caused by a model with this special rule have an AP characteristic of -1.
I really feel they could have just put that on their sheet. Like, I didn't know if it needed to be down here as well, but sure.
Well, maybe it's in more than one place. We'll have to keep our eye out. Ensorcelled weapons, the trusty ensorcelled weapon of chaos folks. Hand weapon carried by a model with this special rule has a magical attack special rule and an AP characteristic of -1. And that is, of course, only single, non-magical hand weapons and does not apply to the mount. Basically, anything other than a hand weapon, you don't get this rule, which is very common, except for orcs and goblins for some reason. They get chappas, and, of course, dark elves, because I wrote that rule.
My favorite rule, easily, because if ever we start making kit bash homebrew units or whatever we might do, having the drunken and drunken table rule is a fantastic rule to apply even in like narrative or homebrew scenarios. So drunken, during the start of the turn subphase, each of your turns roll on the drunken table for each unit with this special rule that is not currently frenzied, that is not engaged in combat, and that is not fleeing. And if you roll a 1, the unit becomes somewhat unsteady until its next start turn subphase. The unit is subject to random move special rule, and its movement characteristic becomes D6+2. Sobering up, which is 2 to 5, the alcohol has no discernible effect upon the unit. And then a roll of a 6, you can become a belligerent drunk, and this unit has turned quite belligerent. Until its next starter turn subphase, the unit is subject to frenzy. A unit with a special rule may become frenzied in this way, even if it's lost frenzy early in the game. So,
all right. I mean, it's fun. I would have loved some more results than just 1 and 6, though. I would like. There's a good rainbow of effects that being too drunk in a battle could get you.
Text the X.
Eats pizza.
Yeah, but it's a fun rule that you can just lift and put on other units if you ever want to. Because imagine doing a battle. Let's say, hey, Val, you and me, let's just play our regular normal lists, but everyone on the table is drunk. And then you just roll in.
Also, like, an unsteady result, D6+2. I mean, you have to be pretty close for that to be good, but like that, random movement has its upsides. So they're not completely useless when they're unsteady, because you can't charge a react. Maybe the opponent is just like, they're wasted. We don't have to worry about those horsemen. What's the Centigor?
Yeah.
So random movement's not the worst, but it is a bit of a low number. But 8 inches if you spike the 6, why not? So the drunken table overall 18% of the time, giving you a fairly not great downside, I guess.
Do you want to do the next one? The faux render.
I believe faux render wasn't that? Yeah, that was part of the Primal Fury stuff we talked about. So we go down another page, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're right. Absolutely correct. The gaze of the gods.
Gaze of the Gods. So we've already covered this, I assume, in our Warriors of Chaos one, but this is a really, really cool and very, very important mechanic for Chaos characters. And over the course of a game can really get your characters pretty spicy. So basically, during the command sub phase of their turn, a character with a special rule may choose to roll on the Gaze of the Gods table. And then you consult the chart. The number 1 is damned by chaos. So don't roll a 1. Subject to stupidity. And if they already have if they already have stupidity, they get a -1 modifier to their leadership. 2 things about this. 1, stupidity ain't that big of a deal. And 2, you get bonus leadership from other results on this table.
You do.
So like, again, the downside here, not too extreme. Although stupidity can often rear its head in awkward moments, but in general, it's not as devastating as maybe it has been in the past. 2, unnatural quickness. This one is until your next start of turn sub phase. This model gains a +1 modifier to their initiative to a maximum of 10. 3 is Iron Skin. Until your next start of turn sub phase, this model gains a +1 modifier to their toughness characteristic. So that's great. But again, those only last for the turn. 4, Murderous Mutation. For the remainder of the game, so now 4 and above, I think they're permanent. So for the remainder of the game, this model gains a +1 modifier to their weapon skill. Sure, that's fine. 5, now we're cooking. Dark Fury, a terrible rage grips the champion, and they get a +1 modifier to their attacks characteristic. That's always good. 6, Apotheosis. For the remainder of the game, this model gains a +1 modifier to both their strength and leadership characteristics.
It's good.
Which is very good.
It's very, very, very good. The leadership one is super impactful in this army, especially. I think it's really good. Also, the +1 weapon skill, not to be sniffed at, obviously, if you ever do reroll 1s as well, because you could be hitting 2s, rerolling 1s. That is some non-old world level of reliability.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's very, very true. But in general, Gaze of the Gods, especially when you're a non-chaos player and you're like staring across and they're doing like 3 or 4 of these things on all their characters, and they're just like, oh, this guy's blah blah blah, this guy's blah blah blah.
And I've got a reroll here. It's like, how many did you pay for? It's like, like 5. Like,
I can reroll about it. But that is all to say. So between Gaze of the Gods and Primal Fury.
Primal Fury.
Excellent.
They are not the goats that you might have seen. Like when you're sizing them up and you're looking at them across the table when the game starts, you're like, I got these guys, no problem. They're just goat men. But by turns 2 or 3, could be a whole different bag of hoofs hitting you in the face. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's really, really good against the gods. Razor Tusks is also another special rule. During a turn, obviously, you'll be amazed who has it. It's the pigs and the pig chariots. During a turn in which you charge, the armor-piercing characteristic of a Tuskgor's or Razorgor's tusks hand weapon is improved by 1. Now, this is where we start to get to the stage where I think it's fair to say if you're new or even someone who's kind of interested, you're thinking, this is a lot of fucking things to track. And it is, absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot of things to track. Okay, I've charged. Right, my Razorgor, that's got +1 rend. I'm going to forget that. Like, a bunch of tokens or things you write down are going to be very vital. Obviously, you can mitigate that a bit. Maybe don't take as many diverse units, but there's obviously that's not anywhere near as fun. But there's a lot of extra stuff knocking around, right?
I think generally speaking, as a player of any army, unless you've reached a real level of mastery with it and you just know things inside and out, like I know that there's a big difference between how much I enjoy a game when I pause before to start and just write out all the things I know I'll easily forget, or like as we're going, make notes. It's also very helpful for your opponent if there are ways to just visibly show these things. Or at least have a way to track it so that they are able to like have some understanding of how juiced up your things are. But yeah, this is a pen and paper notebook at a minimum army especially to track things like Gaze of the Gods, and maybe which combinations of the things that trigger off of Primal Fury your various units are affected by.
Yeah. So
pro tip, pen and paper, guys.
Pen and paper.
Only here. You'll only hear that advice here.
Yeah.
Take notes.
Take notes. On the show, let us know your favorite bits. Leave comments. Right, finally, the Quickening Storm. A model with this special rule has a 5 ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by magic missiles or magical vortexes. In addition, if a model with this special rule or a unit that belongs to it suffers 1 or more hits from Storm Call, it becomes quickened. The Quickening. Yes. A quickened model has +1 modified to both its initiative and attacks characteristic, and eventually can become the 1. And this Quickening lasts until the start of your next turn subphase. So +1 modified to initiative and attacks. Attacks is really nice, +1, but you're normally given +1 attack to units that have got already base 3 attacks. So it's only a 33% uplift versus 100.
Yeah, and is the... I think that's just something that the Shaggoth does, right? So
this is just the Shaggoth,
yeah. So this is something that the Shaggoth basically can trigger, and it affects one of the best, already very good units in the game, the lovable Dragon Ogres, whose home book is right here, folks, in the Beastmen Brayherds. So yeah, Quickening Storm, I think is more fun than anything. But yeah, it's cool.
I think it's a Shaggoth problem, and also the uplifts is like pretty minimal. You're like, I'm not bothered. I'll just take 3 more Dragon Ogres. So I think that's kind of the hot tip. So as you can see, also, I think this is fair to say, a lot of your special rules are very, very focused around combat. So this is a melee-focused army in many, many ways. You do have some ranged output and some big threat projection, but you're also not necessarily the fastest as well. Well, you're not as fast as the ultra-fast units that exist in the whole wide game. So melee-focused, medium speed, I'd also say medium survivability, but we'll get to that when we look at the units, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to start looking at some magical items, and we're going to go to...
Okay, yep. No, you lead the way.
No, you lead the way, brother. What's up?
We're just right by Lore of Beasts. Sure. And Viletide is a good thing to know about when we hit a certain magic item.
All right, okay, let's do it. Let's do Lore of Beasts. So the special spell lore only available to your Bray Shamens. Shamens, yeah. Take me through Viletide, buddy.
Alrighty, so we got Viletide. Viletide is a magic missile. You may have heard of it. Casting value 8+, range of 15 inches. The target enemy unit suffers 5d6 strength 1 hits with no armor save permitted. Ward and regen saves can be attempted as normal. 5d6 hits means that you're fishing for 6s on this. But we'll see something called the Hag Tree Fetish later on, and it does something real spicy with it.
So yeah, you get statistically you're going to get about 18 dice to roll. On average, or with 5d6. No, is that right? Yeah, 11, 18, yeah. Ish. About 18 dice. So you're going to roll like 3 6s. Now, as someone who's done a bunch of blue fire, which is a Zenith spell, fireballs as well, even pillars of fire, most of those are still already rolling 6s to wound. Right? So
it can be depending on what you're shooting at, but yeah.
In many cases, 5s and 6s. So sometimes it really feels like you're fishing already. Being able to fish with a much larger pool that doesn't have AP2, it's just got no armor saves. Crazy good. And you can just lift stuff, right?
Yes. I mean the Vampire Counts who I've been playing with Necromancy, there's a magic missile similar to this that I think is just 3d6. Strength, maybe 2 hits with the same no armor save permitted, and that's very good. So this, I would say, is even better. Like it's only slightly worse versus toughness 1. I think it can't wound toughness 7 and up, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
So if you so this could be a thing where like if you're going up against the big mean Chaos Dragon and they do spike that 6. Spike the Iron Skin or whatever, get up to toughness 7, then they're invulnerable to this. So there are some downsides to it, but T6 is really the number that you're worried about. You can totally wound it, and you're fishing for those 6s, and it's just a very good, it's a very, very, very good missile.
Yeah, for sure. Devolve is another spell they have, another magic missile cast on 8. Also, casting value of 8 is fantastic. Let's just put that out there. Range 15 inches. The target enemy unit must immediately make a leadership test. Test is failed. It loses a number of wounds equal to the amount by which it is failed. It failed the test, which is not a bad spell either.
That is a kind of Wailing Dirge in Magic Missile form. So the screams from Vampire counts. That's exactly how it works, except it doesn't have any baked in leadership debuff. So there's going to be it's without the -2 just built into it. It's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to actually get wounds because you're going to have a lot of stuff that's going to be leadership 7 or up, but could be useful back pocket. But odds are you're taking Vile Tide. You're not taking Devolve. There's no reason why you would take. It's not like you're limited in how many of these you can pick on all your casters. Everyone's going to take Vile Tide.
Yeah. The Mantle of Gorok, an enchantment with a value of 7 until the end of this turn. The caster gains plus D6 modifier to their strength and attacks characteristic to a maximum of 10. Wow. However, if a 6 is rolled, the modifier is lost and the caster instead loses a single wound. But that's still pretty amazing.
That seems awesome.
Yeah, it's a meme. At least it's a great meme.
Yeah. That is definitely in the realm of. Well, that would be fun to use for sure. Mm-hmm. And the Great Bray Shaman is we'll see him in a second. But he's not like your average weedy spellcaster.
Mm-hmm.
He is a barnyard animal spellcaster.
I mean, you can also get really weird and wizard hat it, and then really start to shake stuff up.
I guess, yes. And luckily, the GWFAQ has at least 4 questions answered about how the Wizarding Hat works. So that's great.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know. You wouldn't have access to this lore, Rob. We don't want to lie to people.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if you got the Wizarding Hat, you've got to say you've got lore access to it. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Because I want to wizard hat my Doom Ball to the moon.
That would be fun. That would at the very least be very fun. Although you'd never cast it because you're level 1. Anyway,
different far away. You don't know me. Right, let's go to the magic items. Right. So your favorite. I'm always on these reviews here. Now I'm going to let you do the most expensive one because they're your least favorite. So they're for you.
Well, magic. The most expensive one is. Well, let's see.
Magic weapon, most expensive magic weapon. Sorry,
most expensive magic weapon. Let's see if it passes the fun versus boring test. Here we go. Primeval Club. It is an ancient club bound in cracked leather and infested with spiders and slugs. Has been stained with red blood since the dawn of civilization. It is the bane of all order and hope.
Oh, dear.
So, okay, all right. That's pretty high billing here, folks. Let's see what we do with that. 60 points. It is. It's obviously ranged combat. It's strength star. It's -3 AP. It's got Hatred Empire. That's unfortunate for the Empire anyway. Magical attacks, poisoned attacks. The strength characteristic of the Primeval Club is equal to the current leadership characteristic of the model that wields it. Okay.
AP3 as well.
You know what? Considering again, very easily, in that leadership 10 range. That's a very high strength, high AP. Doesn't do multiple damage. That's a bit of a downside on it. But 60 points, all right. You know what? Not the worst. Not boring. I like it.
Not boring. Not boring. Poison attacks is a very funny addition to it. You're like, okay, massive strength.
A high strength weapon. Like what?
What are you doing? But sure, whatever you want.
Why not? Sure.
Okay. And the Axe of Men is 50 points. Its strength as user, AP1. It's got killing blow and magical attacks. Okay. And should the wielder of the Axe of Men kill an enemy character, including champions, in a challenge, they gain the Terror special rule for the remainder of the game. What's really fun here is them remembering who isn't a character or defining it a bit. Fun. In other places, very confusing.
The champion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean including a champion? Yeah. What about this other rule? Mystery. It's a mystery. It's a secret mystery.
Including champions. So they actually caught it here.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I see what you're saying now. Well, that does muddy the water.
It does muddy the water.
It is an open question as to whether or not in some of the rules they realized that they didn't write as they did in previous editions that this was drawn from, specifically 6th and 7th, that champions were also characters. They were just more limited. But now they're calling this out as champions. Wow. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Because I was very much in the they just forgot that they didn't have that other rule camp. But here they definitely do realize they don't have that rule. Interesting.
Very. Okay.
Please click back on the video. Come back. It's going to be good. I got sound effects. Mangelder, 40 points.
Yeah.
So this is a weapon used for castrating men, I think. So we got obviously melee weapon, strength +1, AP -1, magical attacks, terror. This is just baked into this one. The wielder of the Mangelder causes terror. Any enemy that suffers one or more unsaved wounds from the Mangelder suffers a -1 modifier to its leadership characteristic to a minimum of 2 until the end of the turn.
Listen, I'm going to shout terror out. And shout out to Tom from my event that I ran this weekend. Ran a 22-person GT this just weekend gone. Shout out to Tom. Turn two. He's got all of his dwarfs right next to the back of the board. And he's like, Rob, I decided not to take the 15-point item on my dwarf brick so that I can ignore terror. I was like, okay, cool. How'd that go? He's like, yeah, Ed charged me with the dragon and it all fled off the board. The king, the rune lord, everything. All in one brick of rangers. Just gone.
And you saw that as well with I think you saw someone bringing like a Chaos Warrior brick
where they got terror
checked.
Yeah. And it was like, and it was all the wizards. It was like 4 wizards in a block of like 40 warriors, and it all went off the board. So terror isn't...
Mind the gap, folks. Mind the gap.
Yeah, terror isn't always, but sometimes terror is the just straight up game. So we're thinking about...
Interesting side note here. I've been playing vampire counts now in 3 straight events, totaling somewhere around 12 games. I have never asked my opponent for a terror check or fear check. All of my units cost fear and terror. So that's my reach. That's my stretch goal at the next event, to remember to ask for fear and terror checks.
Just one terror check would be nice.
Yeah, one's good. But when literally everything that you had, like when you cause fear, usually like it's maybe a couple of units. But when you're undead, everything causes fear. So remember your rules, folks. To your own benefit. Sometimes.
Pen and paper.
That pen and paper system.
That
was not in my notes, for the record.
Yes. In your notes, take a pen and paper.
No, I had the pen and paper, but I didn't write, by the way, all your dudes cause fear and a couple of them cause terror.
I like the idea of you making a note to take notes. Okay, 100 spears, 35 points. Is a missile weapon. It's got 24-inch range, strength 6, AP 3. It is cumbersome. It's got magical attacks, multiple wounds 2, and it's got through and through. So it's basically a bolt thrower. 100 spears shoots like a bolt thrower using the through and through special rule, as it says there. It's 35 points. Not too bad, but if you do move, then you're going to be in an awkward spot with it. But it's pretty cheap. Basically, add 35 points on for a situational bolt thrower. I wouldn't mind taking that for a go.
I mean, that doesn't seem bad.
Doesn't seem bad.
Actually, no. Cumbersome is just you can't stand and shoot with it.
Oh yes,
so it doesn't suffer extra pain.
Yeah.
So
let's move and shoot.
So I mean, heck yeah. I mean, especially since you often will have a character on a chariot. Maybe it's something that you can cram on there for just a little extra oomph. Also, 24-inch range feels pretty intense for a spear being hucked.
Well, you think
I don't know what a very famous javelin thrower is, but that's a very, very far. That's a long range in this game. Is 24 inches. So,
well, how far can a skink blow pipe? 8,
12.
That's 12. I'd say that's quite far. Just to.
Yeah, but they lean into it. They really. I don't know if you've ever seen blow pipe. I mean, as a didgeridoo enthusiast, you understand that you can build up the correct velocity.
Massive
with enough
capacity. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. All right, so we're going to jump into Magic Armor. Please take us through the first one.
Pelt of the Dark Young, 40 points. May be worn with other armor. That's nice. The wearer of the Pelt of the Dark Young improves their armor value by 1 to a maximum of 2+. In addition, its wearer and any unit they have joined has magic resistance -2.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Magic Res 2, not bad. Really not bad, actually. I like Magic Res. It's good. If you are going to take a big block of something, it's not terrible to just, especially if it's going to be a caster bunker, it's not terrible to just be like, cool, it's going to be Magic Res 2. That's going to basically make you be a 4 versus a 2 in stopping some spells against that unit. It's pretty good. 40 points, maybe it's a bit much, but it's good. You can wear it with other armor.
Yeah, you're juicing up your whatever your base armor value is, and adding magic res too. So I guess at 40 points, that's going to be just a matter of figuring out if that's really all that much better than buying the 2 items that just give you magic res that are common. But I don't know it off the top of my head, folks. You're going to have to do that homework yourself.
For sure. Okay.
Black and plate.
The black and plate's only 25 points, so nice and cheap. It's a suit of full plate armor. In addition, the wearer has a 3-up ward save against wounds suffered that were caused by flaming attacks. Special rule. I'd say that's brilliant. I say it's a brilliant 25-point item. I do not mind that a situational 3-up ward. There's enough threats out there, but that 3-up ward will come in useful.
Yeah, there's things that are randomly flaming. I think this is largely used to get plate armor on like a solo Shartek Dragon Ogre. I see it used there a lot. So I don't know how common plate armor upgrades are in this army. We'll have to see. So I think that is one of the ways that you can sort of get a better base armor value on your like solo Dragon Ogre wandering around.
Yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. Talismans, take us through.
We've got I clicked the wrong button, 2 seconds. We've got the Rune of the True Beast, 30 points. Enemy models whose troop type is monster suffer -1 modifier to their weapon skill characteristic whilst within 6 inches of the bearer of the Rune of the True Beast. All right. Would have been, you like a -1 to hit bubble more than weapon skill for sure. And if it's a ridden monster, I wonder, would that count the rider? I don't know.
I've been playing against the Wood Elf Dragon that gets like +1 weapon skill occasionally. And actually, it makes more of a difference sometimes than I think. I don't know or is it Tree Whack? It's something that makes me -1 weapon skill.
I think it's even worse. I think it's worse than that. It's like you can only hit it on. There's something pretty punitive that the Wood Elf Dragon does, but we'll discover that when we do our deep dive on Wood Ace coming soon.
Deep dive coming soon. All right, Dark Heart. Okay, this is a very common magic item, so you can take it multiple times, 25 points. Single use during the command sub-phase of their turn. The bearer of the Dark Heart can consume it, and the model immediately recovers 1 lost wound. So that's super rare as a magic item. The ability to get a wound back is pretty unique.
I'm trying to think if there's a common item that does that. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, it's good. 25 points. I think I'd rather spend the points on not losing a wound.
Yeah, I know, but you roll ones, right? Yeah, you're right. It's probably
eating hearts, and also eating a heart. I mean, who does that's cool. It's very metal.
It's metal as fuck. Yeah, you're wearing a band t-shirt when you play this. You're listening to Swedish black metal, right? You've never seen a color in your life,
but you're not a furry apparently. So that's good.
That's what I mean, because this is what I'm trying to say. Just let's all take a moment mentally. When you picture a Beastmen player, sometimes he's into prog rock, sometimes he's into death metal. He's wearing a band t-shirt, he's got long hair, or wants to have long hair, but like
a lot of silver rings, maybe.
Yeah, fate has provided against him. Like there's that, and then the army is like all grim and twisted, and really beautifully painted. But there's another world we could have lived in where the models are purple. Right? The fur is every color in the sun. Okay. And the guy across from us is wearing a Rick and Morty t-shirt and he is ready to fuck you behind the bins. Okay.
Well, Rob, who am I to judge?
I'm not judging.
Maybe I'm interested in a beastly bin romp. Now, who am I to judge?
You could say that is really from coming from Ambush.
Well, moving along. We're not talking about the Famir here, Rob.
Okay. No, yeah. Okay.
Fully consensual.
Magic standards.
Fighting and weapon and hurting each other. All right. Magic standards. Totem of Rust.
Yep.
Is that me? Sure. 50 points. This one's good, I think. Every model, friend or foe. Oh, never mind. Well, it's still probably good. Every model, friend or foe, within 6 inches of this model, carrying the Totem of Rust, suffers a -1 modifier to its armor save rolls.
That's good.
Yes.
You don't like that?
Yeah. No, I mean it is good. It's just that it's minus one modifier to friend or foe's armor save rolls. I suspect the things that are negatively modified on the Beastman side already maybe don't have good armor. But but anyway, I think I've seen this one. I think I do go up against the -1 as well.
Yeah, it's super impactful. Every model, friend and foe, but you've already got low armor saves, right? Within 6 inches, -1 to the modified to the armor save rolls. Super punchy. Like, I think, negatives, positives, depending on how you play it. This is definitely a high skill cap thing. But yeah, there's very few ways to just straight out reduce the armor save, and I'll take it. I think that's very solid.
Every pip of armor in this game is also hard to get.
Yeah,
to start with, right? So yeah, for sure. It could be good. Could be useful for sure.
The Manbane Standard, which is 40 points, all enemy units within 6 inches of the model carrying the Manbane Standard suffer a -1 to the modifier of their leadership characteristic to a minimum of 2. So -1. Have a terror causing unit, that's -2, just straight off that check. Even leadership 9, that takes you on a 7. That's not the best. Obviously, undead being so popular really reduces how effective terror can be. But for the armies that do suffer, 40 points, maybe.
Yep. And we saw the B tier magic missile that could stack with this that causes wounds on a leadership check. But again, still, yeah, man, probably okay-ish. Vitriolic Totem, 30 points. The unit carrying the Vitriolic Totem gains the poison attack special rule. Now, there's always a good one. You love to see the ability to add poison to a unit, especially if they have bows, as I know Ungor's Bestigor. Is Ungor's the lowest one? Yeah, Ungor is just the middle one. Yeah, so Ungor's can take bows and stuff. I don't know if have we seen a shooting brick of Ungor with poisoned attacks like we've seen with goblins and undead?
Yeah, weirdly we don't have. I don't know if Ungor can take a banner though. I think that could be your issue.
Okay, we'll have to look into it.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it. The banner of outrage. This is carried often by our YouTube commenters, so shout out to you. 25 points. Outrage! Unit carried the banner of outrage with rerolls its leadership test when testing for Primal Fury, which is a great cheap item. We want the Primal Fury. We want to reroll it to make sure we get it. We especially would like to get it if we can smash getting a double for Frenzy. So, and it's cheap. Plays into our win con. Yeah.
I bet you Bestigors can take a magic standard.
They can, because they're the Bestigors.
They're the besties.
They're the besties.
And I would assume the regular old Gors can't.
No.
Right. So that may be why you won't see this, because you probably may put a different banner on your BSB. But yeah, no magic banners on the Gors. Alas and alack. Okay, the enchanted items. Take us through it. The Stone of Spite for 45 points. Single use during command subphase of their turn. If they are not engaged in combat, this character may use the Stone of Spite. Until your next start of turn subphase, all wizards, friend or foes, suffer a -2 modifier to their casting rolls.
You like that one?
There's no range on it, so that's pretty good. -2 modifier to a casting roll could give you a pretty serious edge in a particular casting phase, like in a particular turn, until your next start of turn subphase. Always a minus casting roll. Yeah, so it hurts you, but that's one of the problems. So I'm noticing a lot of things that hurt them as well.
Yes.
Yes. Also, it's contingent on a leadership check, right?
Yes.
Or is it? No, it isn't.
It
just happens.
Just happens.
That could be useful. I don't know. What do you think?
-2, it depends. What are our major threats that exist out there? And yeah, there's a lot of spellcasting that really does benefit. But I think in some cases the win condition for some armies is the spellcasting. But I think for many armies it's a bonus versus versus a must-have. So I think it's okay. I'm not loving it. I think there's something else I'd love to Let's see what.
Yeah, it might be one of those things that seems more useful than maybe it actually is. Because I'm just immediately thinking of stuff that just have that like game wide effect. Like I'm thinking of the Falconhorn, which for some reason isn't one use only. Those types of things are just very impactful, right? So like, yeah, again, even with a -2 modifier, I guess if you arranged it so you were out of dispel range, so that way you're still likely to get your spells off without them having a way to dispel them. There could be some play here. But you're right, probably better things to choose.
So then the Horn of the First Beast is 30 points, unless the bearer of the Horn of the First Beast is fleeing. Any friendly units that within 18 inches model may use its leadership characteristic when testing for Primal Fury, baby.
Okay, interesting.
It's a lot of points, though. 30 points for that.
I guess again, like if you have that big warband brick, but I just would wonder why that particular model wouldn't already be your general. You know what I mean? So maybe if you want to be sure that the bubble is big, you'd go with this. But again, probably a pass.
I think a pass. And then lastly, last of the enchantment.
Hold on a second. May use its leadership characteristic when testing, and then there's another banner that allows you to re-roll it. Okay. All right. Cool.
A lot of the units also have warband though, right? So their leadership starts really low, but they're able to get their leadership pretty high already, depending. Exactly.
Skin of Man, 15 points. Beastmen Chieftans and Beastmen Shamens, whose troop type is infantry only. The wearer of the Skin of Man gains the Scouts and Vanguard special rule for 15 points.
We don't hate that.
That seems good, especially if I assume there are some other units that are able to Scout and or Vanguard. Although the infantry only qualification restriction might limit its use, but for 15 points, there's definitely maybe something that could be used for
sure. In the arcane items, we have the Plague Chalice, which is 40 points. If the bearer of the Plague Chalice rolls any natural double when making a casting roll, not including rolls of a double one, the spell is cast in Perfect Invocation, regardless of the casting value or any other modifiers. However, each time the bearer casts a Perfect Invocation, they suffer a Strength 4 hit with no armor save permitted. Ward and regen saves can be attempted as normal. Now, there's no real point talking about this because we might immediately just talk about the next item.
So... But time out here. 40 points, any double is a perfect invocation, and your only threat is a Strength 4 hit on something that could be riding a chariot. So like maybe you take a wound on a 5-up and still get an invuln if you're carrying it. I mean, just at face value, that seems like a really good item.
Yeah, I don't think it's too terrible. Like, I think you need this on your big caster because you want to be casting as many spells as possible, right? To be trying to get the double. To make it worth it.
I think doubles is a 20% chance.
Yeah. And again, like, I guess it's the same conversation. Like, are you that bothered about every spell going off? And it's random. It's very random. Whereas the next item, take us through the main one.
The old Hag Tree Fetish. Whenever the bearer of the Hag Tree Fetish successfully casts a magic missile, they may re-roll any failed rolls to wound.
Okay. Now, this did get FAQ'd, I think, in some way.
So yes, the Hag Tree Fetish actually, I think it was a very early FAQ, and my favorite classic, the non-errata, where they change rules without, for some reason, making it errata to the core rules. So, can the Hag Tree Fetish be used to reroll wounds to wound caused by a bound spell? And the answer, so like things like a Ruby Ring of Ruin. No, bound spells are cast by the item they are bound to, whilst arcane items such as the Hag Tree Fetish affect spells cast by their bearer. Therefore, unless the item specifies it has effect upon bound spells, it does not. So that would have implications to anything that's a bound spell, and there's lots of those around.
Yeah, it's just worth pointing out. But obviously, this one is fantastic. Just such a fantastic upgrade to your core spell. And I think it's defined the army. It has really defined it.
Yeah, this is definitely in that auto take sort of column. Putting a Great Bray Shaman on a chariot of some kind with some with an invuln or something like that, and the Hag Tree Fetish is pretty spicy.
For sure. For sure. Now, the Jagged Dagger, which is 15 points, can only be used by a wizard that has joined a unit. Before making a casting roll, the bearer can make a sacrifice. One model belonging to the bearer's unit is immediately removed from play. The bearer may then modify their casting roll by adding the wounds characteristic of the sacrificed model to the result. So this is your way for very cheaply getting yourself +1 to cast, which is not bad. I mean, if that's what you want. I mean, you could go silly and get +3 to cast, I reckon, but don't do that. This is a fun item and is very cool and very classic. +1 to cast is obviously excellent. So yeah, very cool item.
And something good too to, maybe check on a level 2. I don't know what they're called. Maybe just a Bray Shaman. That can get them up to level 3, which is a little more workable than level 2 for sure. That seems like good on maybe not if you, but usually only if you're going with multiple casters, because obviously you're taking Hangry Fetish on the first one.
Oh yeah, you are. Okay. Also, obviously. We've got these chaos We've got those chaos mutations that are available to some of your special characters. So Slug Skin is going to be 50 pointos, and any enemy model that directs its attacks against this model or any unit it has joined during the combat phase suffers a -1 modifier to its hit rolls. Now this is super popular, super popular.
Yep, super popular. And again, why? -1 modifier to hit, not weapon skill. So that is certainly very good. Any unit that is, enemy model that directs its attacks against this model or any unit is joined gets -1 modifier hit rolls. That's very good.
-1 to hit on the unit, like you said, very excellent, very useful, very good, especially when you can stack it with other minuses to hit, making it almost impossible to be hit, which is love. Right. Crown of Horns is 45 points. Characters only. This character and any unit that they have joined gains Stubborn.
For 45 points? I guess that really depends on how expensive your unit is, right? Because like Stubborn's often a unit upgrade or like involved like a part of the veteran, like a veteran unit. And so yeah. So I don't know. That one's going to be situational.
I agree. Take us through the next one.
The next one is Muscular Monstrosity, 35 points. This model, but not its mount, has a +1 modifier to its strength characteristic. Now, I mean, you can roll a 6 and get that.
Yeah, you can multiple times. But being -1 to hit, very unique, very demure.
Goes well with any shoes or hooves.
The Pelt of Midnight is 35 points, and characters only. Any enemy model that targets this character or any unit they have joined during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to hit modifier.
In a different meta, maybe this would be useful, but right now a lot of the things that are shooting you don't care. Because they always hit on 5s. Looking at you, Tomb Kings, or other situations,
or their magic missiles,
which automatically hit. So yeah, right now, not the biggest useful item, I don't think.
I agree. Next one.
Gouge Tusks for 30 points. During the combat phase, the armor-piercing characteristic of any weapon used by this model, but not its mount, is improved by 1.
Okay. I'm going to skip that.
Yeah, and again, like I believe the Primal Fury, one of the rolls on that can juice your AP. So again, these are things we're paying extra to guarantee. So far, okay.
or guarantee then stack.
Yeah. Yep. True. That's true.
So the Rune of the Beast Descendant is for Beastmen Chieftains only, and unless this character is fleeing, friendly Bestigor, Gor, and Ungor Herds gain +1 modifier to the leadership characteristic while they're within this character's command range. Definitely an item that might not be too bad at a smaller points value. And maybe you just have basically a leadership bubble guy. That's his job.
Could be, but again, this is a very warband heavy army, right? So like, I don't know how desperate they are for leadership. Maybe if you were like, we can look at what the leadership, because with monsters, they can go either way. They're either leadership 2 or leadership 10. I don't know why that is. So like, it could be like if you're not going with a lot of the warband units and instead you have like a bunch more shaky leadership value models out there. Maybe this is something worth using.
Apart from this only affects Bestigor, Gor, and Ungor.
Okay, never mind. So yeah, useless.
Yeah. I mean, you can get them very reliably high. And I'm not against that, right? Like super high numbers. Right.
Yeah.
The many-limbed fiend, which is what I've been called in the past, is 20 points.
Give at least 4.
This model, but not its mount, gains +1 modifier to its attack characteristic. However, this bonus attack must be made using their ordinary hand weapon. Easily one of my favorite actual upgrades in Chaos. I always do this with my Dragon Ogre. I'm always like, normal Dragon Ogre attacks, little hand. 20-point little hand. Which is fun to put on a Shartax, 20 points.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I genuinely don't hate it. Do you want to take us to the next one?
Gnarled Hide for 15 points. Model whose troop type is infantry only. This model gains the Armored Hide 1 special rule. That's also very good. That's very good. Because that's just a +1 to your. That's just +1 to your armor value. We saw a magic suit of armor that was a lot more than 15 points, but it included MR. But you could stack this with that one and your +2 to your armor save and -2 magic res. Not bad.
I really like that this could have just been like any other item that's just like +1 to your save. But they're like, no, this is a gnarled hide. So this gives you armor hide. And you're like, okay, like, is that +1 to my save? You're like, yes, but the other way around. Okay. Which is fun. Then you got Uncanny Senses. This model, but not its mount, has +1 modifiers to its initiative characteristic, which we're not too bothered about, right?
Not necessarily, especially if you're swanging on great weapons. So like a modifier to your base characteristic doesn't help too much. Yeah. All right, Mutations. So there's for as many as there are, kind of disappointing that there aren't that many that you're really excited about. But in general, some ones that do have really good impact and are very good. Yeah. Looking at you, Slugskin.
Looking at you, Slugskin. Looking at you. Okay, let's go and start looking at our unit intros. Okay. So Beastmen Chieftains, first ones that we are going to look at.
The first one is the Beastmen Chieftains. So these are our sort of combat characters, the non-magical characters, coming up Beast Lord Wargor flavors. So the Beast Lord for 115 points. Again, we're comparing this guy against also the Minotaur, the Doom Bull, and the Gore Bull that we'll see in a second. Movement 5, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 5, 4 attacks, leadership 8, 115 points. For 115 points, I'd say so far not bad. We got the opportunity to take a great weapon, may add up to heavy armor as well as a shield. That's good. Up to how many? 50 points of Chaos Mutations. 0 to 1 per 1,000 points may have the Ambusher special rule. Did we talk about is the ambush stuff built into other units?
No, it's built. It's built in as a universal special rule that's put into each individual unit. So it's like while ambushing is a big deal for the Beast of Chaos as an army, it's built into each individual sheet, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. No, I think it's part of this Brayhorn rule that we'll see in a second. Okay. Cool. I'd answer my question if I just kept reading. Can be on a Tuskgor or Razorgor Chariot, which are 2 decent chariots, of course. Obviously, the Beast Lord can take 100 points. The Wargor may purchase up to 50 points. Looks like only the so both the Wargor and the Beast Lord can take 50 points of mutations. There's no difference between the two. That's pretty cool. It includes Blood Rage, Brayhorn, the General only, Foe Render, Gaze of the Gods, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Primal Fury, Warband. So, with Blood Rage, Foe Render, and Primal Fury, let's see if we can do this. If there's successful leadership check, Primal Fury gives them -1 AP. And then
no, wait, hold on, no.
That's Foe Render.
That's Foe Render. They get reroll 1s to hit.
That's right. Yep, reroll 1s to hit, and the AP from Foe Render. And then if it's double, they get Blood Rage, which is Frenzy +2. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Brayhorn From the beginning of round 2 onwards, if your general is on the battlefield, so that's if you make this guy your general, so your army is led by the Beast Lord. From the beginning of round 2 onwards, if your general is on the battlefield during the command subphase of their turn, they may attempt to sound the Bray Horn by making a leadership test. If this test is passed, you may immediately roll again for each unit of ambushers in the army that is held in reserve and that did not arrive during the start of turn subphase of this turn. So that's good, because one of the things that sucks about ambushers is that's a 4-up roll, right? So they can be stuck off the table, and it's very hard to guarantee that they come on the table at any point in the game, really. I guess there's a time where they have to come on. But anyway, this helps add reliability to that, and it's just sort of baked into him if he's your general. The thing is, though, I think there's better stuff to do with your Beastmen than making it an ambushing army. I think that's probably why we don't see it, but I think it's a fun mechanic.
I think one of the nice things about an ambushing army, there are lots of negatives. Units don't come on, you don't get to utilize them. But one of the nice things about an ambushing army also means units are off the board, right?
Yeah.
So that when deployment happens, they can't necessarily zero in on a big expensive unit. You've got some options. Is it perfect? No. Could we see more reliable ambushing? I think that would be nice, and therefore we get this from this character, which is quite good.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, decently pointed, I would say. I think he's just probably pales in comparison to a guy who's called a Doom Bull. But we'll see when we get there. But next up is the Beastmen Shamens, Rob. Tell me about them.
Oh boy. Beastmen Shamens. Shamens in my country. Anyway, T5 is the big news here, which I think is really valuable. We don't hate that. 150 points gets you to level 3, then obviously add 30 points to make it a level 4. So it's expensive. Let's just put that out there. It's expensive. And it's not lucky like the Chaos Sorcerer Lords, where you just get an inbuilt 5-up ward save, you get an inbuilt bit of armor as well. So there's like some real big negatives. Access to demonology, dark magic, and elementalism. All right. Means that you've got a good range of buffing spell pieces, as well as obviously like some debuffing. I think it's fair. Would it be fair to call elementalism debuffing? Would you be okay with that?
I guess. Well, it has Plague of Rust, so that's -2 armor save once. So that's very good. But I mean, demonology, elementalism, dark magic. They're all. I mean, elementalism is very good. But there's no battle magic here. That's always like a first question mark. Because you would love to be able to combine your Hagtree fetish with battle magic,
or even just ambushing and dropping stuff in from places and being all over the place. Definitely.
But elementalism probably the thing here. There's obviously some leadership debuffing things built into a lot of the rules that we saw before. So demonology is not the thing I'm thinking of at all. I'm thinking of necromancy. Let's continue. Demonology is a good buffing, but demonology is definitely a very good buffing spell, though. Spell one, though. So if you want to juice up your units, that's a good option.
Yeah, I think that's a good option for that for sure. Braystaff, when this model's combat is chosen during step 1.1 of any chosen fight subphase, it must choose the Braystaff offensively or defensively. Used offensively, the Braystaff counts as a great weapon. Used defensively, then you gain a 5-up ward save. But again, that ward save is only in the combat phase. So
it's an armor value of 5-up. It's not
armor value. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. I don't know how I just literally. Maybe that was just me putting my emotions.
You were hoping it was a ward save.
My fursona was just putting that on there. 5-up. Obviously, you can take a level 2. Of course, you can have ambushes per 1,000 points. So you can be fun, and then you can be mounted on a Tuskgor or Razorgor Chariot. Okay. So like those are really good elements, right? Like especially being on the Chariot. Chariot gives you 360 line of sight, able to hit stuff. Very cool.
And I guess he's paying a little bit more points up front than your average, level 3-4 wizard, just because of his stat line, the strength 4, toughness 5. Is that basically it?
That's it. I mean, it's in many ways just. It's just your level 4 caster, and it doesn't really bring anything overly special without access to Valtide to the table, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Level 4 caster, folks. But I mean, I guess the Great Bray Shaman stat line, I guess, is why they're a little spicier. But still just 2 attacks. But then you use that item for the plus D6. Was it plus D6 strength and attacks?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go wild on that chariot.
Here we go. Minotaur Champions, Minotaur Champs, Doom Bull and Gor Bull. So the Doom Bull is the Lord tier of the Bull Man. Movement 6, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, toughness 5, 5 wounds, nice. Initiative 5, 5 attacks, super nice. Leadership 8, 210 points. So spendy, but I think you're getting stuff for your spendy, especially since you can put a bunch of stuff on them too.
I think this is brilliant for 210 points. That's everything you want, right? That's great.
And then we've got of course, the Gor Bull, which is essentially the same, just a bit lower weapon skill, strength, attacks, and wounds for 130 points. So significantly cheaper for the Gor Bull. May take a great weapon, go up to heavy armor if you like, can carry shields, mutations up to 50 points, 100 points for magic items, or 50 points for the Gor Bull. So pretty standard character options there. Special rules, though. Armor Bane 1. Blood Greed, Blood Rage, Bull Gores, Fear, Foe Render, Gaze O the Gods, Impact Hits 1, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Primal Fury, Slaughterer's Call, Warband. Holy crap. Yeah. Whilst this model is frenzied, any unit it has joined will also become frenzied. Well, that's nice.
That is nice. Right, that's good. Frenzied is a good rule, I guess. It's good and bad, obviously. It's like got that thing, but yeah, then you've got all of the bonuses that come from the unit being frenzied, right? Where you've got Blood Greed and Blood Rage that come from that, and you've also got that AP1 from the Bull Gore special rule on the hand weapons. Is that no? That's not what it is. What is the Bull Gore's one? God damn it! There are so many special rules for this guy.
I'll scroll down a sec here. Bull Gores. Impact hits caused by a model with the special rule have an AP characteristic -1. Does he have impact hits, though?
Does he have impact hits? No.
What? What are we missing? Are we missing something?
We're missing a lot on this book, for sure.
Oh, no. Impact hits 1. He has 1 impact hit. There it is. Yeah. Anywho, seems good.
Oh, he's really good. He's really, really good. Super popular. It's super popular in Beast of Chaos lists for sure. Very, very effective. So strong. 5 attacks is also pretty gnarly because now you get frenzy. You can get +2 attacks, so you're up to 7 attacks, which is just nutty. So yeah, he does have impact hits. Impact hits is there. Impact hits 1 after Gaze of the Gods. So yeah. You're just going to get a lot of output out of this guy, but only heavy armor, obviously, and a shield. You're going to probably, there's
lots of ways to kit him up, though. And sure. At 210 points, like with Gaze of the Gods, to be already starting at this tier of stats, like if he's in basically any unit with 2 ranks, he's leadership 10 immediately because he's warband. And then from here he can get higher, permanently higher strength. He's good. He's good.
It's a good guy. It's a good guy. Super strong. You definitely want him. Centigor Chieftain. This guy's only 75 points. He's toughness 4 with 3 wounds. He can only have heavy armor, but you can kit him out. He's move 8, and unsurprisingly, he's got a swift stride. He has got warband as well. He is drunken. Fast cav. Gaze of the Gods. Mark of Chaos. Undivided, sorry. Move through cover. Primal Fury, and he's got a 1 stomp attack, but can be given a cavalry spear or great weapon, light armor, heavy armor, and then for 1,000 points you can have the ambusher special rule, and then may take chaos mutations up to 50 points and magic items up to 50 points. So 75 points, super cheap if you wanted to. Just one of these in ambush is with 4 attacks at strength 5 is a legit kind of war machine hunting backline little problem, I reckon.
I guess, yeah, maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of other heroes at around 75 points that suck. And this guy's...
That's true. That's very true.
This guy's fast and hitty, and you can just put him off the board. And then at some point, 75 points could just turn up and do something. That's pretty fun.
He reminds me a lot of the Torok, actually, from Chaos Dwarfs.
Three wounds.
3 wounds, not nothing. Yeah, I can see him as like a little game piece like that. But again, like there's some, I don't know. Do you want the other guys or do you want one of these guys? Maybe it's something you throw in there. I'm not poo-pooing the idea. It's a good upside call. It's something you can do with them. It's something you can do with them. And I have no idea what Centigors do. I assume not much, but we'll see. Because you may not even want to have them in a unit of those guys. My bet is calling.
So the next unit we're going to look at are Gor Herds, Mr. Heffelfinger. The unit you must take in the core section because we're done with heroes. And we have not yet finished. And we haven't time skipped to another day.
It's totally the same day. See, the goats are still here.
Exactly. It's exactly the same. Right. Gor Herd are interesting. They are toughness 4. The Gor, so they're only strength 3. They're 7 points a model, but
these are the mandatory. This is the mandatory selection too, right? So these guys have to be in.
You're not mad about it though. Weapon skill 4. I guess the real issue is equipment, hand weapons. All they've got to protect themselves from the blow of an axe or a sword are their rock hard nips. So that's not going to be enough. But they can take an extra hand weapon. They can also take shields. Not too bad. Full command. They can replace their shields with great weapons if you want to get gnarly. And the True Horn can, sorry. But they also 1 per 1,000. They can have ambushes, taking them up to 8 points a model, and a magic standard up to 50 points. They've also got Bestial Charge, which is a special rule that they have, where during a turn in which they made a charge move of 3 inches or more, model the special rule gains +1 to its strength. So they go strength 3, toughness 3. They've also got Mark of Chaos, Undivided, a move through cover, which is excellent, open order, primal fury, skirmishes, and warband. So there's a lot you can do here. You could build a big bunker, put someone in it. You could also, make a smaller unit that's going to ambush and cause some issues. A lot of options, right? I would say. What do you think?
I mean, yes. By the way, strength and toughness 4 on the charge. So even better. I want to point out this guy's 7 points, which, if I recall, is the same cost as an Empire Halberdier.
Correct.
Who has none of these rules. And his toughness 3.
None.
Certainly isn't weapon skill 4. So warband. And do they have horde? No horde. So they
got warband.
So sometimes it's horde plus warband. So no horde here, but that's fine. So that means that they're going to be, what's their base leadership? 7.
They are base leadership 7, but they're the Trueborn. Yeah, no, sorry, base 6, but the Trueborn is 7.
So they got +2 to that. So without a character in the unit, their leadership 9. Assuming you got 2 ranks, which is pretty dope. These guys seem like, as far as like a quote unquote tax Warhammer Libertarian here, a quote unquote tax unit that you have to take. I don't think you're that mad about it.
No.
Especially since you can also stuff it full with some pretty mean characters. Also, we were talking about that banner that's -1 armor save to everything, include friends and foes within 6 inches. You know who doesn't care about being -1 armor save? Someone who doesn't have an armor save.
Yeah. Goats with rock hard nips do not care.
That's right.
Yeah, they're strong. So yeah, I would say it's good. Ultimately, your cause normally attacks, right? So I'm not mad about that.
Also, something to note: they're open order. That's something. Just because they don't get that +1 combat res, but they can just skirmish. I didn't even know that. I've only ever seen them bricked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Just get a unit, I don't know, 10, put them in skirmish. You spent 70 points, you care. Throw them into something in the backboard, lock it up. It's not a terrible choice. I don't mind that. That's good for the Gor. Into the Ungor Herd.
These are the weedy gets.
Hey, these are the weedy fellas. So you've got hand weapons and shields, though, as standard. Now, they're toughness 3, and their weapon skill is also a little bit lower. Also move 5 as well. I should also point out that the Ungor move 5, and the Gor also move 5 as well. Leadership is super low, but if you get a champ, you go up to leadership 6, initiative's 3. Now, the big news here is you can have thrusting spears, throwing spears, or may replace their shields with short bows if you want it to go that way. And we know that there's also that poison banner that's available to them. So, but only ballistic seal 3. And again, up to 1 unit per 1,000 points can be an ambushing unit.
Yep. So yeah, again, has access to that ambush. In looking through some army lists on BCP after we did record the first half yesterday, I did see one person doing the poison brick and having success. So it can be done. And again, poison shooting, why is it good? 6s to hit are automatic wounds. So if you get a big old fat brick, even with short bows, which I think are 18 inches, but they might be quick to fire, so they can move and shoot. That can work for you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great. And why is that really good? Obviously, high toughness stuff really makes it much easier to deal with. That's what you want to do. So, I mean, not terrible. They're 5 points a model, you know, so I'm not mad like that. So, yeah, Ungor Herd, I think, are really solid. Also, just because it's on the same page, we should cover Harpies. Yeah, exactly. 5 unit size of 5 or more. They're skirmishers with swift stride and movement and fly 10. Sorry, they also move 5. Move to cover. They've got scouts. They're 11 points a model. Strength and toughness 3, but 2 attacks base, which not even a chaos knight gets. So hello.
I will double.
So yeah, as I was saying, fly 10, swift stride, 11 points a model, but 2 attacks each. Excellent. Claws count as hand weapons, so not brilliant. But I see these are super popular for a couple of different reasons. One, they're not that expensive as a move blocking unit. Just straight up the board, right in someone's grill very early. Also really effective for keeping behind your lines as well. You know, for later on, like dropping into flanks, zooming over, once you kind of all get engaged in that middle combat, just zooming into the backboard, start getting it much more valuable pieces or shooting units. So like a really useful toolkit unit to have in an army. Like I'm sure there are many armies that would be like, I wouldn't mind like a fly 10 swift stride unit that I could just zip around the board. I'm sure many armies would love to have a Harpy unit, and so they are quite popular, I think.
Yeah, they're incredibly good utility unit. Also, for the record, has scouts. So if your opponent doesn't block the corners, that can be something that can just very annoyingly tie something up. By doing a rear charge, go after a war machine if they happen to have one. So it just makes it it tightens up. Or changes someone's deployment as well, just having a unit like this. Because wow, that's a crazy, like that's a really good threat range. Obviously, that's let's see, 18-inch threat to bomb a charge in. So yeah, these guys are very handy, easy to kill if you do commit the effort to killing them.
Also, I know it's weapon skill 3 and it's strength 3, but. The 2 attacks each at initiative 5, long bomb charge, you're at initiative 8. Yeah. Like, sure, 10 of them, 110 points. That's quite a lot of points to just get 20 attacks at strength, weapon skill 3, strength 3. But like, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
They're still getting even on, a 5 model unit. It's still 10 attacks, which is. A nice amount of attacks to dump into someone else's, min squad or skirmisher or move blocker or whatever. With lots of frenzy too in Beastmen potentially. It's also good to be able to deal with people who are trying to frenzy bait you. Or also use these guys as a screen to stop your unit from charging off after something. So yeah, Harpies seem to me, you see them often as like, two min units in lists, and I can totally see why.
Absolutely. Warhounds next, baby. What are we saying?
Warhounds, we've got again, I think a classic, redirector or chaff unit. We got movement 7, weapon skill 4. Oh, they're spicy little dogs. Strength 3, toughness 3, single wound, initiative 3, 1 attack, leadership 6 points though. They just come with claws and fangs, which count as hand weapons. They, for an extra point, can have a 6-up save with armored hide. You can also give them the poison attack special rule. For 5 points per unit, which is interesting and cool, they can have Vanguard. They have Loner, so it can't be joined by anything without Loner. Move through cover, open order, and swift stride. They are, of course, war beasts, which I learned recently are cavalry. I didn't know that. Anyway, they're war beast, open order with swift stride. So no skirmishing here, but that's fine. They're quick. They don't have impetuous, so they go where you want them to go. And for pretty reasonable investment, because you only need 5 plus 5 points for Vanguard, you got something that can go into the middle, and again can work to either frenzy bait or screen for your frenzy units, or just go be annoying things.
Yeah, the Vanguard option is just, I think, 11 out of 10 here. It's so cheap as well. Like, it's so cheap for like a move blocking unit. Like, eventually you got to be like, okay, Rob, you keep saying every unit can just move up and block the moves. I'm like, I know. You need to eventually hit with something. I'm with you. I recognize that for sure. But again, another great unit if you like, and cheaper than the Harpies as well, and fast. Like you said, move 7, swift stride. So yeah,
still quick, especially when you got the Vanguard in there too. Yeah,
so good. I also like mid-board, like Vanguard's also good for like mid-board, like frenzy, like baiting very early, like you said. So yes, so good.
You definitely, I suspect you want your opponent to come at you, right? So like anything that you can do to draw people closer to you as you claw your way across the table with your horde of goat people, so that's a good thing. So things like Harpies, Warhounds, you're going to see them in lists because they're just good utility units for that.
Agreed. Razorgor Herds are next. 52 points for the one war beast here. So strength and toughness 5, 4 attacks, a little mini nuke. Movement 7 with swift stride and D3 strength 5 impact hits. Armor Bane 1 causes fear. They're loners, they're open order, they get primal fury. They're leadership 6, and they do not have... Oh, they got light armor, but I mean, that's basically like having no armor, right? And they're only weapon skill 3 with those 4 attacks. They're not necessarily going to do everything. And they're leadership 6. But spam Razorgor Herd... it feels like, if we didn't have the rule of 3, rule of 6, 52 points to keep sending little pork missiles at people, like a downtown sausage attack, seems very effective.
They seem quite reasonable. Also, the 1+ unit size. Whoever wrote Chaos gave this out a lot. Dragon Ogres, I think, also have the 1+. So the points investment on it isn't much. They're swift stride. They're movement 7, so just like the Chaos Warhounds, but they do have a lot more that they can do with that. They have Armor Bane 1, obviously. I think, is it Foe Render that gives them AP on their impact hits?
No, Foe Render... +1 AP, isn't it?
Tuskgor, probably Razor Tusks, or something like that. But anyway, they do get some AP. I think if they make the charge, they got a very decent threat range at 15 inches. They're a pain in the butt. They're also something great that you can throw into a combat. Like, let's say you have your Minotaur who can only pursue D6 inches, and you break a unit. Well, something with Swift Stride that's part of that combat can now go chase down something if they happen to have broken, because you got that big. If you have a big brick of Ungor, odds are the opponent maybe won't be able to fall back in good order. So you need something that can catch them, and a good boy pig is a great thing to go do that.
Absolutely.
And T5 is a bit of a defense all on its own, right? Like a lot of strength 3 and 4 out there.
Yeah, so. T5 is so solid. And again, they're fast, right? And like we said, with those units moving to the mid-board, then you're starting to hit them with like a Razorgor Herd, like a nice counter-charge piece as well. Like, especially if what you're trying to do is like, that we all know about those big bricks that are just like generating their own huge static combat res. So, combo charging your hammer unit or, your kind of bigger monster with a couple of Razorgor Herds, just so they hit those impact hits. Just that. Is a kind of nice place to like add for 50. Like, almost can see it as like a 52 point like charging upgrade for some other units, right? Super easy to get rid of, obviously. Toughness 5 is the own defense, though. So, yeah, pretty nice. Very good option. So next up, talking about long bomb charges, you've also got like Tuskgor Chariots, and as we're at Chariots, we could talk about the Razorgor Chariots, which are coming from special Tuskgor from core. So you've got toughness 4 with 4 wounds on a 4-up armor save chariot that only costs you 85 points. D6 plus 1 impact hits that are going to be at strength 4, because is it because
strength 5?
Okay, but not because the Tuskgor's strength 4.
The Chariot's strength 5, toughness 4, 4 wounds. So yeah, the toughness is 4, but their strength 5. Weird that it's a toughness 4 Chariot. I wonder where that is.
Yeah, for sure, but very cheap is kind of my point. 85 points. D6 plus 1 impact hits. Very effective. Now you're just talking about a bunch of stuff, but they, as has been pointed out, they've got close order and first charge, great. Impact hits, great. Undivided Primal Fury, Razor Tusk, but no Swift Stride. So that movement 7 is much reduced. 30 points cheaper, you get a pig and you get a real big charge. You don't get quite as many impact hits, but feels like that's the reason. In comparison, the Razorgor Chariot is toughness 5 with but same amount of wounds, 4 wounds, 4-up armor save, same again. But this is much more expensive. It's 35 points more expensive. You get D6 plus 2 impact hits, but again, I'm pretty certain you get no Swift Stride. So 2 chariots.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Armor Bane, you get Fear, First Charge, Foe Render for the Razorgor. Impact hits D6 plus 2. Mark of Chaos, Undivided, Primal Fury, and Razorgors. No Swift Stride and only movement 7 does mean that they just can't long bomb as much as the other stuff, which is a bit disappointing, I think. But then that's why your Harpies and your Vanguarded dogs, you could really create a situation where you put them in the mid board, then you try and hit with a bunch of impact hits. Feels like a lot of hard work to do something that's not super brilliant, right?
But again, if we're looking at this as something, again, things that can help out a infantry brick, Tuskgor Chariots, they're coming out of core. You got to spend your core points anyway. 85 points really isn't that big of an investment. It is strange that this is a heavy and not a light chariot, to be frank, because it's giving me light chariot vibes. One thing too, I don't know if we noticed it, but the Tuskgor has Warband, so it's re-rolling its charges, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
it's not getting a close order bonus though, because it's 4 wounds, obviously. Although, oh wait a minute, I might be misquoting that. Look that up before you believe what I just said, because I can never remember if it's the unit strength or if it's the starting wounds. I think it's the unit strength, in which case it would get the +1.
Okay.
But anyway, minor point. And then when you compare him to the Razorgor, so one thing, you are just straight up getting a Razorgor. So that gives you some more quality attacks beyond the impact hits. You're not, you do lose your Warband though. Interesting.
Yeah, they're both kind of in an interesting spot, right? I would say.
Yeah.
But also they're very interesting choices for surezies.
I think you probably see Tuskgor. This will be my guess. You probably see Tuskgor Chariots more often as just a actual chariot selection, because chariots are useful. But I would bet the Razorgor Chariot would be the. So yeah, I think you probably see your Tuskgors more as your sort of chaffy units. Again, you got 3 great choices that we've covered because they're in core. But Razorgor Chariots, I would bet you'd probably see that more as your character chariot, just because it does have that T5, and also you're moving around, probably trying to cast. Is it Viletide?
Viletide, baby. You're trying so hard to cast it. That's what you're trying to do. Yeah, definitely.
You're not so worried about charging, right?
Very popular character mount. Very, very popular. Absolutely. So next up, we're going to look at Bestigor. So Bestigor is super interesting because they kind of fit into the same slot that a lot of elite infantry fit into, right? They're 13 points a model. They're strength and toughness 4, and they got great weapons and heavy armor. So immediately you're like, okay, 5-up armor save. They're going to be hitting at strength 6. I really like that. Then you see that they're 13 points a model, and you see that they've only got 1 attack each. Now, we know that there's lots of ways to get extra attacks. Like, there is Frenzy available, and I think there's a possibility. There's definitely reroll 1s available because of Primal Fury. They got Warband for reroll charges, which is nice. and they've got Blood Rage, so I think we're going to get an extra attack as well on top of whichever. But like the base, but that's if you get the Primal Fury off. Otherwise, you're just sat with one attack with your like elite infantry striking at initiative value, and as we've said many times on the show before, infantry has a threat range issue. You're going to get hit first, and your first rank is going to get wiped out. Therefore, you're basically never swinging.
Yeah, a lot of the times. And I mean, these guys are paying a lot of points for having a built-in great weapon and for having heavy armor. You know, instead, they also don't get the Ungor +1 strength on the charge for some reason, even though they're better Gors. So these guys just, I mean, if you just look at the special rules, I mean, sometimes you can just read something and know something's off. But like, if you look at the special rules, it's just not the three sentences, the beefy paragraph that just your regular Ungor gets. So these guys are supposed to be elite, but it feels like they're actually working with less than your Ungors, who have to take. Now, Bestigors can become core if you have a Bray whatever.
Bray Shaman.
But no, not the Bray Shaman.
The Beast Lord.
The Beast Lord, that's right. So you know that's something that at least you could get it into your core allotment. But I think Bestigors is probably, they feel like they're in the same world as like Great Swords and Empire, or a lot of the other elite infantry for a lot of the reasons that Rob just said. They're striking last. They're way more expensive than the base infantry. And in this case, they actually get less rules. And if you want better rules like Veteran, which should be super handy on these guys because that's going to let you re-roll. I was wondering before when we were looking at Primal Fury, is there a way to re-roll that check? You could with these guys. So they're more likely to get their Primal Fury and Blood Rage bonuses. But that's going to bring them up to 14 points. If you want them to have Stubborn, they're hitting 15 points.
Well, that's insane.
So I think this is a unit that is beset both by, for whatever reason, having less rules than the non-elite, and then on top of that, are double the points, more than double the points.
Yeah, they're a toughie for sure. But not
as the owner of an 8th edition Beastmen collection that I bought on the cheap, I have like 60 very nicely painted Bestigors. So
they'll come around. Maybe there's something in the Arcane Journal, right, to help them out.
I think maybe. I mean, even if you added a ton of rules to these guys, I mean, they would need a ton of rules. But yeah, I think this is mostly just these should be 8 points a model. You know, they like. There's no reason. I mean, over the Ungor, like with just the rules that they got, like these guys should be like not that much more pricey than your basic Ungor. They're actually worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. So next up, we're looking at the Minotaurs. Minotaur Herds.
Minotaur Herds, or what are they called in Slaves to Darkness now?
They are called. That's a great question. Therodons.
Therodons.
Yeah.
The Therodons have a lovely AOS model, by the way, because the OG plastic kit for Old World they have a really funny musculature, which once you see it, it's hard to not see.
They're very Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but it's like muscles on muscle. Like whoever did it, I think, sort of skipped the how muscles work day in art school. But it's cool. It's like, yeah, they kind of look like a 12-year-old drew a muscly bull. But yeah, I don't know. Your mileage may vary if you like the old ones or the new ones. Anyway, we got Minotaur Herds here. They are on 50s. So they're one of the monstrous infantry units that did make the jump up to that larger base size, perhaps in anticipation of using those lovely AOS models, maybe not. Movement 6, weapon skill 4, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 3 attacks, 7 leadership, 47 points in model. So fairly spendy, but I think an ogre is like 41, like an ogre bull. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No,
or maybe
cheaper
high
than
30s.
that, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay, never mind. But anyway, these guys have they also have to pay for your great weapon. So that's only going to get you hand weapons and light armor for that 47 points. So you're probably taking that great weapon, getting you up to 51 points. They can take shields for 2 points a model. And then they can have a 50-point magic standard. That's very good because we saw some really great magic standard options. The champion can take some chaos mutations or even 25 points of magic items. These guys can be ambushers. And at a 2+ unit size, that can be annoying for 3 points a model. So their special rules are Blood Greed, Blood Rage, Bull Gores, Close Order, Fear, Foe Render, Impact Hits 1, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Motley Crew. Also, they can mix their weapons. Primal Fury and Warband. Very cool. They can all mix their weapons and armor saves there. They have light armor and a shield, so you could give the champ some magical armor and sort of give 2 of them a better save by abusing some Motley Crew. That's cool. I always like seeing that. Overall, though, I think just kind of spendy. I have seen some lists that have attempted to, do the Minotaur Herd brick, because if you bring a Doom Bull as your general, you are allowed to bring these guys as core. So, that again, there's a way to do it. But I wonder, they're just, like a lot of Monstrous Infantry, very spendy, but at least they have a ton of rules.
Yeah, I ultimately, like, when you're dealing with like frontline fighting units, like, you look at them and you think, okay, I'm getting some output. They're very expensive per point. They're like getting close to like 20 points per wound. When you go to a Dragon Ogre, though, you're looking more at like 12 points a wound. And really importantly, Dragon Ogres have got a 3-up save. We are just rocking a 6-up save over here. And that's just the real simple answer. These should be much, much cheaper, because they're a glass cannon. They will get absolutely slammed and you will take a ton of these off. But they're multi-wound models. So there's obviously that advantage where, even if you've got 3 on the front line, you do have to do all 9 wounds. So that they're not going to hit you back with those great weapons, which you obviously are going to give them. So they're hitting a strength 7. In my personal opinion, I think that's a solid way to take it. You could give them shields, sure. You got 5 palm save, but I just don't think that's really worth it. I think you want to go that they're like very slappy. I've really enjoyed running ogres with great weapons in Chaos. These are weapon skill 4, so they're like a little bit better, but again, their weapon skill isn't quite up there either. So you're going to be missing more than you would like to. Strength 7 is going to be great, and you're going to be hitting with less attacks than you want to, and you're just going to constantly take models off. I mean, even a Fireball is going to maybe lift, I don't know, 50 to 100 points out of this unit without you even looking. So
we would take a
that's probably a bit too much. It's probably a bit too much. But
7. So you're at 3.5 wounds, right? So you're gonna get 3.5 wounds on like a if you roll 7 hits with a Fireball, and then you've got the light armor. Maybe if you do have the shields, you got the 5-up. So yeah, you're right. A Fireball is probably taking a Minotaur off the table, or could. Definitely very easily.
They're super cool, and as has been pointed out as well, you can obviously do some secret stuff with, you've got your champ who can take chaos mutations, magic items as well, do some fun stuff with it. But I'm with you. Like, ultimately, it's just a mispointing of this unit in a book. Dragon Ogres are too cheap, and also these are too expensive. So it's a duality, I think. And also, just I know that you're like, they are naked. Like on the model, they're like, there's no armor there. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe toughness a little bit higher, maybe a better armor save would have made these far more attractive as a unit.
So Chap pointed out, a unit of 2, the champion can take black and plate, and that would get them a 4-up save because of Motley Crew. So until the champion is punked, at least they would have the 4-up save. With a shield, now you're looking at a 3-up save. So again, versus a Dragon Ogre, still probably not great. But using Motley Crew and a unit of 2 and black and plate, which you're probably going to be using on a Shartek instead anyway. But anyway, there's probably ways, like if you love these guys, there's probably ways to make them usable, or just to go all in on them as your core unit choice. Having this sick unit of like angry bulls is like, it's not the worst. I just think there's more optimal choices more than likely, because even 500 points of these guys is maybe you can squeeze 8 or 9, to just hit your core. But you also have the Ungor there, so yeah, like 7 or 8 if you're just trying to nail exactly 500. So yeah, that's the equivalent of a 21 or all right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think they could be fun. I think this is a fun choice, maybe not the best choice. I think that's where I'm at.
So next up, we've got Centigor. So Centigor is a light cavalry unit, pretty unique, obviously, because normally it's the rider and the mount. In this case, the rider is the mount. I'm not sure that's correct. Either way, they're movement 8 with swift stride. So, you do have a fast unit. Weapon skill 4 if you're talking about combat with 1 attack each, but the opportunity to gain frenzy by being drunk. They're 19 points for 1 wound. Yikes. With a shield. Yeah. Strength and toughness 4. Their initiative 2. They got cavalry spears, throwing spears, throwing axes, and javelins. You can have one of these as an ambushing unit for +1 point, taking them to 20 point a model, and up to 1 in 1,000 can take a magic standard up to 50 points. And then they're drunk. They're fast cavalry. They can have horde, which seems ridiculous. A mark of chaos, undivided. They move through cover, which is great. Open order. They got primal fury, so they can reroll 1s to hit. Skirmishes if you want to, so that's pretty nice for them. They do have 1 stomp attack. They are swift stride, and they do have warband, so you've got some reroll charges on there. On move 8 on swift stride is pretty nice. But they're definitely, again, one of those units you can just bring in from the flanks. At 20 points a model, unit 5 straight up running you. If your ambush is 100 points. And then on the charge, you're just going to have, what, 5 attacks? 5 attacks? At weapon skill 4, strength 4, strength 5 on the charge.
So, yeah. They can have, they do have a lot of options. I'm just saying here, Rob. I'm
listening. I'm not trying to put them down. I want to get drunk with them.
I want to get drunk with them. I don't hate them.
Okay.
And why don't I hate them? They do have the ability to add ranged attacks. They're skirmishing. They're Swift Stride Warband, so like they're rerolling stuff. With like they're rerolling their charge roll with Swift Stride.
Yeah.
And they can be ambushers pretty cheap. Is it 1 point for ambushers?
It's 1 point for ambushers per model.
This feels like a utility unit in search of a job, basically, to me. I don't know if you could find it. I think at 19 points, I'm just trying to think like that puts them in the realm of like your pistoliers. They're a little bit more expensive than your average basic cavalry. I think there are probably better core units that are going to do these guys their job better, and they're not dragon ogres. So they're outshined by a lot of other options.
I think it's
but at the same
outshoneth.
time,
I'm not sure.
Outshoneth. But at the same time, like there's a lot of rules here. There's a lot of options here. Like I don't know the difference between a throwing spear, axe, or javelin. They got 3 different. 3 different things they can chuck at people, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So you can take your taste there. With ambush, they're getting up to 21 points a model.
And per wound.
Yeah, per wound, sure. But like cavalry, like there's a lot of 1 wound cavalry out there. And again, because they're ambushers, they can be off the table and show up in a place where they're not immediately going to die. They can just be annoying. Again, like, is this the first choice? Are they best in slot? No, but there's just so many rules here that I struggle to just write them off as like absolute shit.
Yeah, you've got, this is a book where everything is like it's kind of like that meme. It's like, wait, it's all chaff, the gun to the back of the head. It's like always was. But if you are looking for chaff, you've got loads of good, cheap, faster options already in the book, which are cheaper and faster. If you, that's what you're looking for. So I don't really rate the Centigor Herd. I think they just need to address and looking at as a unit for sure. But I think that for most of each of the books, there's definitely like a good point for you, as you've said, is like cavalry spears, throwing axes, javelins. It very much feels like they used to be able to do that. So here are all the weapon options, and you're like, okay, cool, but they're all basically the same. So what are you really doing here?
Yeah. I would also say, depending on the armies of infamy, and we'll see. We didn't even mention that Minotaurs, I think, are one of the armies of infamy.
Yes.
who knows? We might see a situation where they get a buff that does like bump them into something useful, or maybe these guys wind up being core in a Minotaur army. I have no idea where they fit into the sort of lore vibesy things. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not willing to say they're absolute. If you love these guys, kind of like the Minotaurs, if like a bunch of what is a centaur, half human, half person, half horse guys are your jam. It just strikes me as like a lot of different rules here and things that you could have fun with. Are they the best choice? Certainly not.
Yeah, I am ultimately a centaur fan. Okay, centaur girlies, we know what we're about, and it is Horse Girl Summer, but I just don't think this is going to be the place to take it from. I
was unaware of the fact that it's Horse Girl Summer.
It's Horse Girl Summer. It's Horse Girl Summer. Okay. Like Brat Summer is over. That was last summer. Now we're Horse Girl Summer. But talking about Horse Girls, similar thing. If you want half and half of something, you got some Dragon Ogres, and oh boy, 56 points. Yeah, also in the special slot. I'm pretty certain. 56 points. So I don't know if it is 12. They're 4 wounds each. That's why it makes them 12 points a model. So that thing we talked about where you've got to do, if you've got a front rank of 3, you're going to have to do 12 wounds before you're going to get hit back with something. Which is pretty effective. They do have hand weapons and light armor, but you're able to give them great weapons. You can also give them heavy armor, which is going to give you a 4-up. And then they've got Armored Hide 2, which takes them from a 5-up to a 3-up armor save. They also have 2 stomp attacks versus 1 that you see. And obviously we're giving them a great weapon, so we're taking them up to 60 points a model. And that is going to give us 3 attacks at strength 7. They've also got Armor Bane as well, so they just bring it all. And their champion, the Shartak, is just a mini hero at this stage. 67 points, is going to have 4 attacks at strength 7 at weapon skill 4. Will have a 3-up armor save. That's before you give him any chaos mutations and magic armor. Close Order, Fear, Immune Psychology, and the Quickening Storm, don't forget, which gives them also a 5-up against 5-up war save.
Also, ensorcelled weapons for a strength 5 -1 AP magical attack, if that's useful to you. Which there's lots of situations where using your ensorcelled weapon would be better than your great weapon. Going up against ethereal things, dealing with the Green Knight, etc., etc.
Yeah, loads of good options, right? Yeah, and then the 2 stomp attacks at strength 5 at the end. 11 out of 10. These are just basically perfect. Then move 7. They don't have Swift Stride. But they can survive being hit, and then they can go toe to toe with so many units at what is a pretty pretty okay price range.
What I would love to, so I think we can say without a doubt, I mean, unless this is your first rodeo, first ever old world checking in because you're a Beastmen stan, and this is the first time you've checked in because Beastmen are coming now. Turns out Dragon Ogres, very good. They are very, very good for every reason that was just highlighted. These are best in slot. You can take them as single units. You can take them as, you can take them in units of 3 to 4, or even bigger. Really, you can't go wrong with the Dragon Ogres. I just want to say, as like an overall comment on them, I would love to see, rather than Dragon Ogres ever be nerfed or raised in points, I would love this to be the bar, and all other monstrous infantry and cavalry are calibrated to Dragon Ogres. So that would mean cheaper Minotaurs, cheaper Ogre, cheaper everything else, and that this is actually the right way, because this is just a great unit, and I would love other units to be also as good as this by being cheaper and more efficient. But I have no idea how you write these guys at 56 points. How you put them at 56 points, and Minotaurs at 47,
no idea,
or whatever, without a great weapon. Like it's kind of funny.
It's the fact that you don't. It's the fact that even if it just said Armored Hide 1, just go from a 3-up
2.
Yeah, like even going from a 3-up to a 4-up is already going to change that quite a lot. They get 2 stomp attacks compared to 1 for other stuff. They're just so overcooked on every line. They're just given almost like you feel like it's a copy paste error in some ways.
They're phenomenal, and they're also dragons plus ogres, so they should be awesome. You know, like I don't think there's anything wrong with them being awesome. You know, like maybe a minimum unit size going up to 2 would have been better, but even that's going to be awesome. You know, like I think the danger with Dragon Ogres is that they'll give them the old GW triple nerf or whatever, and then we'll never see them again because they're so good. And rather than like hammering them down and being mad about Dragon Ogres, I think making other things better options, or at least more comparable to them, is how you fix this best in slot problem. Because everything, again, Centigors, tons of rules, maybe a little overpointed, but tons of rules. They could do different jobs. Dragon Ogre is going to do all of them better because they can beat ass, they move fast.
They survive. I think surviving. I think the difference between these guys and the Minotaurs, more than anything, is just the survivability. These have got an extra wound per model, and they go from a 6-up save down to a 3-up save, and that's just nutty. Like, just absolutely.
Would they be base 3-up so they could get to heavy armor?
Heavy armor,
light armor, shield goes to 5. They go down to 4.
Who's this for?
They may replace light armor with heavy armor. There you go. So they get to 3. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah. The Armored Hide 2 that really pumps them up. Or to take Armored Hide 2 off them, just let them run around as a 5-up save, same as the Minotaur, and then everyone can be crap together, right? that's the answer.
I love good things, right? I think that's the thing that, and not to toot my own horn, but one thing I try to do with the Renegade stuff was like no nerfs. Right. And that was like a working assumption. I know there were some, but like, and I would love GW to view things more like that. Instead of always looking to strike down good stuff, how can we, like, there's some good stuff that needs to be struck down in this game, like specifically ridden monsters, I think, especially. But outside of those guys, it's really a question of bringing other things up rather than bringing other things down. Because it's fun to have good, like, units that can do a bunch of shit, right?
I'm with you 100%. Like I've many times talked about Games Workshop's balance patches being a race to the bottom, and just getting stuff be cheaper, and cheapness being its own quality isn't actually something. You normally want to pay points for effective and interesting and fun rules. So I'm with you 100%. And I think in many cases in this book, you've got many units doing a similar role inside of an army, but not necessarily doing something super clever. But yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to get into like just pure beat sticks, playing beat sticks all the time. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. I'm on your side. Like, I believe in it so hard. All right, so we're going to keep running through our special units now, and now we've got just a plethora of monsters, or some might be from rare. I don't know.
I think Cockatrice isn't special.
Okay, well, we'll do the Cockatrice. Obviously, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. A hilarious name. Okay. Yeah.
It was a Magic. The first time I ever encountered the word Cockatrice was a Magic the Gathering card, and did we ever have a chuckle?
Obviously,
I summoned my cock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
obviously being able to put them, get your cock out, fantastic. So 170 points for a monstrous creature. Okay, toughness 5 with 4 wounds. All right. It has scaly skin, which counts as a heavy armor for a 5-up armor save. Now it's fast as all hell, with fly 10 and swift stroid, basically as fast as you can be. Okay. And then in the output, you got 6 attacks, weapon skill 4, at strength 4. But we're gonna strength 4. I think that's right. Initiative 6 as well. So on the charge, it's gonna be initiative 9. But weapon skill 4. Now you could give it acidic vomit and poison attacks as well. Poison attacks not terrible, to be honest. At strength 4.
Get one automatic. Yeah, okay.
It's a large target, and it's got Stony Stare, Swift Stride, and Terror. So Terror's great, and then we'll talk about the Stony Stare. At the start of each combat phase, enemy models in base contact with this model, so only models, make initiative test. If the test is failed, they suffer D3 strength 2 hits with no armor saves allowed. Ward and regen saves can be made. So that's the Stony Stare, which they get for free. And then they can also upgrade to have an acidic vomit, which is a strength 3 AP1 breath weapon. And they do have a shooting attack, which is the Petrifying Gaze, which is 18-inch range, strength 2, magical attacks, multiple wounds, D3. When making a to-wound roll for an attack made with this weapon, substitute the target's toughness and initiative. No armor save is permitted against them. which is pretty nice. You get some Initiative 1 models. You're going to be rolling 3s against them. Oh, you're going to be rolling 2s against them. I don't know. But they're not going to take an armor save for that. An 18-inch range is very nice. And multiple wounds, D3. It's a very weird weapon, and it's magical.
Also, his ballistic skill 5.
Yeah, I know. Like, he stares so hard.
Yeah. This is why don't you ever see cocks? Where are the cocks?
Where are they?
Is it because it's special? And again, is a dragon ogre problem?
Yeah, I mean, they're expensive. They're 170 points. Their leadership is pretty low, leadership 6. So they're gonna, you whiff, you're gonna bomb something. They're super fast, which is great. But you do get, as pointed out, 3 dragon ogres, which is 12 wounds, versus 1 of these, which is 4 wounds for your money. And I can tell you which one's better, but you already know.
Cocks are out.
Cocks
which ironically means they're in.
Yeah. They're hidden. Cocks are, as they should be, hidden.
But again, like I would go to bat for this model, just as I did with the Centigor guys. There's just so many good rules here. I mean, obviously pretty vulnerable because I don't think they have an armor save whatsoever. Do they have armored hide anywhere? No. They cause terror, so that's also a handy thing, being able to cause terror checks, especially with things that can do leadership penalties in the army. There's stuff here to work with. Is this something that you want to spam in your special slot, say bring 26 of them like your friend did in AOS, or however many he brought?
A lot.
Maybe not. I think it's a pretty cool model too. Again, this to me, I feel like would be a really fun model to play with. But if it's something that if it's a game that you're going to like go with the intention of like trying hard and trying to win, there's just better options. But it's still a cool ass model with good rules, I think.
Yeah, and you can be really uncomfortable. You take a couple of these, it's really, really expensive, but now you've got this kind of very odd, very, very, very uncomfortable shooting attack, 18-inch range, which like is very unique. And your opponent has to be like, this is uncomfortable. Like, this actually could do something to me in the right situation. So, yeah, like, it's definitely got play. And it's definitely on that fun side of trying to make it work. And I think there's something to be said about, like, there's so many options. I said, and I will continue to say, this is my favorite book. I actually didn't say that in the intro. It's my favorite book. It's got the most kind of out there options for you to be like, all right, I'm going to put this on the board today. I'm going to see what it does and give it a try. And sometimes it's just going to get fireballed off or something, but sometimes it's going to do some real work. So I think I like you say, it's a very cool choice. Lots of flavor, loads of rules. Super cool.
Crowded out by dragon ogres as far as best in slot is concerned. It's also crowded out by the gigantic Spawn of Chaos, which I think is right around the same amount of points as this, and way tougher, way more resilient, way more annoying. So yeah, there's lots of things that would remove this as like a best choice, but it's a cool choice, and there's fun rules. It's not boring. It has not committed the offense of being boring.
Good. Talking about boring. Actually, Jabberslythe is in a special.
Let me double check.
We'll double check that. Definitely, you could also make it maybe more interesting, making it a little bit cheaper. The Cockatrice. Cockatrice is pretty cheap, though. Next up, Jabberslythe. Do you want to take us through it, baby? See what it's about.
The Jabberslythe, maybe sleeve. Movement 6, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, toughness 5, 5 wounds, 3 initiative, 5 attacks, leadership 9, 195 points for your monstrous creature. He's on a 60 by 100, so he's a big boy. This one has wicked claws, slithy tongue, and scaly skin. Counts as heavy armor, so he's got heavy armor at least. Close order, does fly, so fly 9, large target, a maddening aura, poisoned attacks, spurting bile blood, stomp attacks D3, swift stride terror. So we got your standard 200 point monster gribbly guy. What do all of these things do? So maddening aura during the command subphase of its turn, any enemy that is within 8 inches of this model, including units that are fleeing or that engage in combat, must take a leadership test. If this test is failed, the unit suffers D3 Strength 3 hits with no armor or regeneration saves permitted. Beastmen love those low strength, no armor save scenarios here.
They do love rolling sixes.
Love those sixes. If you can roll sixes, Beastmen Brayherds might be in the army for you.
These are your guys.
We got Spurting Bile Blood. Spurting Bile Blood. For each wound this model loses during the combat phase, the attacking enemy unit suffers a Strength 4 hit with an AP of -1. That's kind of neat. How many wounds can we lose? 5. Okay. At least it's a hit, so it's not a chance to be hit. That's nice. Wicked Claws, AP2, as they always are. The Slithy Tongue is 12 inches, Strength 5, -1, move and shoot, quick shot. Ballistic skill 4 on this bad boy. So just a little kind of shot. Just sort of a nice little thing that you'll never remember to do. Also, randomly, leadership 9. I don't understand the logic of monsters and when they're high leadership or when they're low leadership. But this one is
I think in the concept in the Jabberslythe, it's just insane. It's an insane monster. Like, it's really difficult to shift it away from its goal of being insane and insane around people. Yeah, a really interesting choice, right? I think everyone wants to make a Jabberslythe work. It's 5 wounds. Great. Like, we're not mad about that. Again, only just got that little cheeky 5-up armor save, which sucks. So it will just lose stuff. Poison attacks on strength 5 seems silly, but it is what it is. It's fast-ish, swift stride, and fly 9. So you can just deliver this right downfield, which is kind of fun. And I do wonder if, like, I don't know, 3 Jabberslythes, just be like, look, you know, they're not dragons, but it's 600 points. I'm going to punk them straight at you. Like, you could take, like, that's a lot of range, threat, and stuff you can do. And the Minotaur can stack, right? I could just put 3 into the enemy, and I'll be like, cool, every unit within 8 of all 3 now. I could like AoE this bad boy, do you know what I mean? And stack it is an interesting choice. It's just so little. It's what we call a double stippy. So a double stipulation. You got to fail a leadership check. Yes. And then it's only D3.
Yeah.
Which is strength 3. So you're like, okay, the Minotaur is not as good as I think it is. But, you know, what about just 600 points of delivery, just sending it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, against special slot. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why not. It's T5 instead of, you know, T6. Like, I think of things that you do that with, even things like a Necrosphinx. Like they have, you know, they have like Monster Slayer built in. They got things that can really threaten. Maddening Aura says to me that this should be a debuff rather than a damage thing. So like that's something I think that could have really upped the Jabberslythe's game, was if Maddening Aura was a leadership debuff and the strength D3 hits, but we're wishlisting. I think this one's rules are less. I don't know. I would probably, if I had to choose between this and the Cockatrice, I think I like the Cockatrice better. Just from a, you know, what different things that it can do, because this thing is supposed to go out there and beat up stuff, I assume, but it's strength 5, toughness 5. You know, it's not like an overwhelming monster. It's not a behemoth, you know.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Okay, so if you, I think if you get into Beastmen, you definitely are excited about one of the 2, like, kind of like big tower models. Yeah. You got Cygor and you got the Ghorgon, both super aesthetically awesome. You've also got the Chaos Giant as well, but we're going to touch on that lightly. So Cygor's 215 points. He's an interesting piece because he's kind of an artillery monster, and as someone who's run a Hellcan a lot, they're not great. 215 points, so high. 6 wounds, great. Toughness 5, okay. They've only got light armor. Yikes. So you can just spam anything at it and it's probably going to fall down eventually. At least you may. In combat, it's got 4 attacks, only weapon skill 2, so don't get it into combat.
He's got 1 eye, all right? The depth perception, not so good.
Not so good. Movement 7. So he's got close order, Ghost Sight, which is a special rule where during the combat phase, a Cygor may re-roll any failed rolls to hit, which is going to be a lot of them, made against enemy wizards only.
It's actually not that many. It's only 4 attacks.
Yeah. You're going to miss with all of them, though. Yes. But you get to reroll to hit against enemy wizards, enemy models, or units equipped with any magic items, or any models or units with a ward or regeneration save. So quite a lot of options on who you get to reroll your measly 4 attacks with. However, as I've said, in the kind of shooting, it's also got immune psychology, which is pretty good. Large target, it's got Soul Eater, which is another special rule, where an enemy wizard that wishes to cast a spell within 12 inches of one or more Cygors must first make a leadership test. If the test is failed, the wizard has lost their nerve, and should they fail to cast the spell, then the spell has been miscast, and the active player must immediately roll the table. If this test is passed, the wizard can continue their casting roll as normal. So that's an interesting rule, but 12 inches, it really does feel like many of the rules that have like got long range effect, they don't understand that they gave dragons like a fly 10 swift stride, and they're like when you get within 12 inches and you're playing the chess game of movement, it's like, no, a unit of Pegasus Knights has actually already flown across the board twice that range.
They're in his butt,
and have nuked me, and you're like,
yeah, he's toughness 5. Like,
yeah. So like, there's definitely like a range issue there. If that was 18 inches, I'd be super interested in the Soul Eater ability. I'm like, okay, a little like debuffing centerpiece. You're kind of like trying to move around with it or whatever. I think that's pretty fun. Talking about a shooting attack, you do have the rock that you can throw, which shoots between 12 and 36 inches. It's a pipe plate of 3 inches, so 3-inch blast template. The strength 4 with strength 8 in the middle, which is AP 3. In the middle, it's D3 plus 1 wounds, which is quite nice. That's quite nice. And the weapon shoots like a stone throw using a bombardment special rule. And then if a misfires rolled, you roll on the appropriate table. So big news is he's ballistic skill 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So it does mean that you are often going to not be able to, because you can use your ballistic skill on stone thrower weapons sometimes to bring to adjust if you. What is the situation? You might adjust.
I think if you can see it, if it's not firing indirectly, I believe you can reduce the scatter by 1 inch in this case. You reduce it by the ballistic skill, so that is a bit of a bummer for him.
Because if it was like a 3, maybe even God forbid a 4. Then you could be pretty accurate with this. But I guess he's only got one eye, as you've already pointed out. So
that's true. Yeah, I guess that is probably why his ballistic skill is low. So that's nice and thematic. It does feel like a model being pulled in 2 directions. He wants to be 36 inches away. Also, if he's close enough to use Soul Eater, he's unable to throw a rock. Like, he's throwing a friggin' rock. Why is there a minimum range on this? Anyway, you think he could just throw the rock at whatever's in front of him. So yeah, the Soul Eater obviously only kicks in once he's at 12 inches. Soul Eater too, I just want to point out, is only when the casting roll is failed, and it's cool that there's a miscast and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know about you, but like very rarely are casting rolls actually failed, just because there's a lot of level 4s out there. So usually it's a pass casting roll, but if it's low, it's easily dispelled. And so that's usually how spells don't go off. You just don't see a ton of failed rolls. Maybe I'm crazy. But also, so I don't even know how often this would come up.
Yeah, not a lot, but it might make people question, right? At least, I think. Like, it's not the puppet for sure, but built in. But I guess the Soul Eater thing would be like, okay, the Soul Eater would be a nice bonus that you would have for the Cygor based on, like, what else does it do that's good? But what else it does that's good is nothing. Like, and ultimately, you're happier, as I know from using the Hell Cannon, which is a good comparison. The Hell Cannon is pretty tough to get rid of. Like, it's got high toughness, a lot of wounds, and actually it's kind of okay in combat in a weird way. Which is, it's directly also 215 points, but its output, which it mainly does, it's like its sole job, which is shooting a big rock once a turn. Well, its actually main job is killing itself. Is useless at, or it's not as effective. Like, I'd rather spend 215 points, it being less survivable, but more likely to do the job that it's doing. So Cygor's unfortunately a big miss, but that's not a problem because we have the Ghorgon. What do you think?
Ghorgon. So let's run down the Ghorgon, because you do see Ghorgons a ton. Where are you going? Give me back my stat line. There we go. Movement 7, weapon skill 4. Okay, cool. Strength 6. Good. Toughness 6. Awesome. 6 wounds. This is sounding like a behemoth. 5 attacks. Initiative 4. Leadership 9. 245. So bit spicy. This is in the rare slot. Can be in the special slot if your Doombull is your general. And then what does it do? So we got cleaver limbs and calloused hide counts as light armor. Special rules are blood greed, close order, frenzy, large target, primal fury, regen 6 up. Special rules, we got blood greed, close order, frenzy, nice, large target, primal fury, regen 6 up, so that's good. Stomp attacks D3, stubborn, swallow whole, terror, timber. Okay, cool. What does swallow whole mean? We got during the command subphase of its turn, a Ghorgon that is engaged in combat with 1 or more units of regular or heavy infantry may choose to make a swallow whole attack. To make this attack, nominate an enemy unit of regular or heavy infantry. We already said that. The Ghorgon is engaged in combat with the unit must immediately make an initiative test. If the test is failed, a single model belonging to the target unit is immediately removed from play as a casualty. A single model belonging to who chooses. If this test is passed, the warriors manage to avoid the grasping Ghorgon. No one is picked up and the attack has no effect. The unit stuffs him in his skull. A single model belonging to the target unit is immediately removed from play as a casualty. Who chooses?
Who chooses?
Is that obvious? Am I dumb, or is that obvious?
May choose to make the whole attack. Nominate an enemy unit of regular or heavy infantry that the Ghorgon is engaged with. The enemy chooses.
Yeah, I would think, because it's on the unit level.
Yeah.
Cool. You get a wound back if you do gobble somebody up, and that's in your command phase. So that's great. And then cleaver limbs. This is probably why you see this guy. It's strength 6, AP 2, killing blow, and monster slayer.
Woo!
So there you go. There's your Necro Sphinx equivalent, except it's 6 attacks with that. Is that right?
5 attacks, frenzy,
5
6 attacks. 5 attacks, 6 attacks with frenzy, like you said, and it's got blood greed. So blood greed, I think, is going to give us. Ooh, what a great question at this stage. Blood greed is a toughie to remember. Is the 2 attacks for frenzy, so it's going to be 7 attacks that you're going to be pumping out. So that's wild, absolutely wild, right? And then you got stomp attacks after, so 7 attacks. Really cool. A really good piece and super popular. And obviously people you're likely to roll a 6 with 7 attacks in the can, right?
Yeah, could just punk a monstrous creature just like that, which is awesome. And also having killing blow and that is a wonderful thing. I don't know why that isn't always the case that Monster Slayer has killing blow, but whatever. It's you can see why even at 245 this is a popular choice. One thing is, though, in the rare slot, along with the Ghorgon, now you have giant chaos spawns competing for that slot. Go back, check out our Wars of Chaos Arcane Journal review to hear us talk about that. I'm not sure if we were as hot on it as we needed to be, but they are hot. They are good and they are cheap. Probably 50 to 60 points cheaper at least than this. But this is a good monster. I think that's true.
Yeah, definitely. The
Ghorgon's, it doesn't fly, but
Ghorgon's solid as hell. Like really good. 245 points. The only thing, again, that light armor, it can just fall to pieces so fast. Easy to take out. Like it's just kind of wild. Lastly, there is a Chaos Giant in here. Chaos Giants are just a little sad. They're fun. They could do some really fun stuff. There's a ton of stuff they could do. It's really not worth going through it. We covered this again in the Warriors of Chaos Arcane Journal. They're fine. You're not going to pick them, apart from when you do pick them, because like putting 2 giants on the board, tough 6 wounds, running around is an issue to deal with, and they're a little bit like that, but they're random in what they're going to do. They're either going to really do something good or they're not going to do anything good, but they are fun, and that's a really good thing that we should encourage in the rules, in the units, right? A really fun thing.
They are a really fun thing. People love to put giants in their armies, regardless of whether or not they're always that effective. They are toughness 6 wound, monstrous behemoth, but I will point out that over and above your regular giant that you can get in orcs and goblins and other places, these guys for extra 30 points can have a 5-up, 6-up regen. So that does make them, I think, the most survivable giant. I think in a landslide. And the one thing about a giant is that they are very easy to just punk for years and years. That has always been the case for giants. So Chaos Giant at least can take some armor, which is nice.
However, almost missed the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, but thankfully didn't.
Ooh,
225 points. It's got strength 6, 5 attacks, leadership 9, move 7. This bad boy has also got armor bane 2 and armored hide 2 on top of its light armor, which can have heavy armor. So you've got a 3-up armor save that you're going to take on this bad boy. So now we're talking toughness 5 with a 3-up armor save, 6 wounds, 225 points. A steal. It's got D3 plus 1 stomp attacks. It has got 5 attacks at strength 8 with its great weapon. Absolutely gnarly. And then immune to psychology, which is great. It's got quickening storm, so it's going to ignore templates, like magic vortices and like magic missiles. It's going to give it a 5-up ward save as well. And this guy's also got that magic missile itself, Storm Call, cast on 7. As this bound spell is cast, all units within 6 inches of this model, friend or foe, suffer D3, including units engaged in combat, suffer D3 strength 4 hits with an AP value of 1. So you can kind of stick it in. But this is the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is so legit, like super legit at 225 points. The only major thing is it's slow. It's move 7, which is fine, but no swift stride. And then when you are swinging with that axe, like what target do you really want to take 5 attacks at strength 8 at? And it's a ridden dragon is what you want to do. And will that be able to do those 6 wounds before you even swing? In some cases, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the 6 wounds is a thing. I'd be curious to know, like on a points per wound thing, how well it does compare to just a regular Dragon Ogre. Because this guy is competing with the Cygor, and the Cygor has similar output, but
you mean the Ghorgon? The Ghorgon.
Sorry, the Ghorgon. Sorry, definitely not the Cygor. My bad. The Ghorgon.
The Ghorgon.
Which, by the way, a Ghorgon is usually a Medusa-like creature, so that's kind of weird that it's called a Ghorgon. But anyway, it has Monster Slayer, Killing Blow, which are very, very useful tools. And even though this guy has those like super high strength attacks, you're going into layered saves and all that kind of stuff on a lot of those other big targets. I don't think the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is that bad. Quickening Storm does feel like a cool benefit to like other Shaggoths around. Like the regular Dragon Ogres around him. Like it's a cool little thing that he can do. But at casting level of 1, I think it rarely ever goes off. Even against like Fated Dispels, right? Like you're gonna be able to punk that pretty easy. So yeah, I don't mean to rain on his parade. He's cool. I see him in lists all the time. I just don't necessarily see his crazy upside. Maybe with maybe some Chaos Mutations. He doesn't take magic items.
I mean, it's a small base just to like stick on the corner of unit, smash. Sure. Like
he's little. Yeah,
like that's like there's a lot of punch.
He's
in
not.
That
he is a large target. He is a large target. I think he's bad? Absolutely not. But like after being pretty horny for that Ghorgon and just regular Dragon Ogres, I think this is again falls into that. Lots of good rules, pretty decent, maybe better things.
So to conclude, would you say a fair statement for the Beast of Chaos book is it feels like it has an identity? You've got the Blood Greed, you've got like the Primal Fury, you've got all of those things, and then all of a sudden from out of left field, a super hyper efficient unit in Dragon Ogres turns up, and it just skews your conversation about the whole book. Especially like for tournament play, lots of fun units, lots of units that are also doing the same job. But as soon as you kind of get into the convo, you go, oh well, I mean that's just 4 Dragon Ogres for that, which is much better than insert whatever unit, right? Does that feel like a fair statement?
I think yeah, this army does have a lot of best in slot things. Also, the mandatory the mandatory Gors does mean that you're immediately faced with the choice of like, do I invest in this unit or just take the tax unit? And so it kind of pushes things into certain list building directions. I think with Beastmen, like again, off the top, like I said earlier in the show, I think people looked at all these cool units, these cool rules, and they assumed this is going to be a really, really good army, especially coming from where Beastmen came from, which is just the worst. In 8th edition, they didn't get a book, I think from early 7th onward, they didn't get a book. So like it was up there with Bretonnians as far as like an army that was left with no rules for a very long time. So it was great to see this. I also think the other thing is they're not played much. So when I went looking for, Beastmen Brayherds lists out there, there just wasn't a ton of them. And I did notice that there were players doing 4-in-1, and providing a variety of different builds, using these pieces, using different things for different tools, whether it's a poison shooting block or a Minotaur block, or really going in on Razorgors. There are a lot of different ways to build the army, and it might just be too that we haven't seen, that like real Beastmen champion push them as far as they possibly can go. There's just so many rules in this book that it's hard for me to believe that they aren't good. But they also might just be capped by the biggest fish out in the meta. So you're undead and even Warriors of Chaos themselves and things like that. But I think it's a very good army.
I think their core ability being based off a leadership role at the start, right? Like they're kind of like, hey, I'm going to juice up all my attacks, but I've got to get this thing. Means you're always going to have an inconsistent playthrough. I still, to this day, think this is easily like up there with Orcs and Goblins in the widest book with the most options, where you can do a bunch of fun stuff. Like this is absolutely, like, I think if you had an Orc and Goblin player like a Beastmen Brayherd player, then you could just end up like with so many like your battles could feel so different every week down the club, constantly changing units around, unit sizes, unit types. You could just be like, trying all sorts of stuff out. That's really good, because yes, me and Val obviously care a lot about events and playing the tournaments and stuff, but ultimately also how much fun can I have? How much like give is there with an army like this? And there's a lot of give. But let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yes, please do let us know what you think. And I would say as well, as a friend of mine once said about Orcs and Goblins, it's a very fair army. Why are you playing a fair army? You're not good enough for that. So I think Beastmen fall into that too, like very flavorful, very fair army, but doesn't have maybe all that OP shit that make them a tyrant of the meta. Maybe with the Arcane Journals, we see some spice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that'd be really fun. Let us know in the comments, and thank you everyone for watching these reviews. It's always really great to see you watch them, and thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting us. You're the best. We'll see you all soon. Goodbye. Hit us with a goat. Goat goodbye.